This program deals with themes of an adult nature and is intended for a mature audience.
The KTPF Community Talk Show is sponsored by Regression Castle, South Wales, one of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations and hen parties, visit www.mosthauntedcastle.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk Radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another evening here in Manchester in the UK on the KTPF Community Talk Show. My name is Suzanne. And my name's Steve. See, he's not awake yet again.
I'm not even awake and I haven't got the tent on either.
And we're recommended by Phenomena Magazine, the UK's leading online publication. And you can find that by visiting www.phenomenamagazine.co.uk. You can download all their old magazines as well. So have a look at them. They're quite good. Well, for those of you who are new to the KTPF, Steve and I started this back in 2007 on a mission to try and bring everybody together. It's okay. Don't worry. And there you go. Take the overlay off. And basically we've been decided to do something different from a chat room, just a normal chat room, and that was to bring guests to you in their chosen field to share their interests and information to you. We also cover anything from cryptozoology to UFOs, whilst encouraging you to share your information and also get involved with questions. But most importantly, we want to share friendship. So remember, it's collaboration, not competition. Now, although concentrating more on the investigating side, because me and Steve, we do investigate, this show does incorporate a wide spectrum of this fascinating subject. So as I said, you need to get involved in the live interactive chat room, and you can also ring up and ask questions as well to our guests, and or even Skype us as well on ktpf.paranormal show. So as I say, it's fully interactive, this show. So we'd like you to get involved, and please remember that we will be doing this for YouTube purposes for our radio replay, and we do have quite a bit of a following on there, and just want to say a big hello to Robert Bray and Chris Mack out there in the YouTube world. So they're enjoying our shows as well, aren't they,
Yeah,
Steve?
some two of our regular listeners out there.
Now, don't forget, later on we'll have the rundown for this month's event news from paranormaleventsforyou.com. But first of all, tonight we have a bit of a different show for you, as our guest is actually live in the hub this evening. And no, he's not at the bingo. He's actually here in Manchester. So I'd like to introduce you to what you fondly know as Andy 707.
Hey. Hello, everybody. Hello, Sue and Steve.
Hi. And tonight we're going to be talking about past life regression and hypnotherapy, exploring the myths. Isn't that right, Andy?
Oh, yeah. Hopefully we can explore some of the ideas behind hypnotherapy and make it clear that things aren't what people often think they are.
Mm-hmm.
And we also discover whether Steve was a Viking, or he was a Roman, or he was Mary Queen of Scots.
Yes, what we're going to do is
I was Catherine Parr.
Oh, okay.
we're going to try and, or rather Andy's going to try live on air to do a past life regression with Steve. And that'll be later on in the show, because we've got quite a lot of things to talk about first, haven't we?
We have, and also in the hub we have our JW as well.
Yes.
He's up here with us.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ghost Rider is also
Good evening,
up here.
Ghost Rider.
Good evening, Ghost Rider. So
And,
give them away.
And in our hub here,
From that end?
we have
At the hand, no?
well, we have Aggie. Aggie's come in, and Haggis 4 has joined us again.
Haggis 4. Good evening, Jim. Hope you're well. And I assume your partner's listening to you as well. Listening with you as well. So nice to see you. Now, we have actually got quite a few viewers watching us. Why don't you come and join us in the chat room and have a chat with those that are in there and also ask questions as well. Ace Paradox has just joined us. Hello to him. And I did see your message about them videos. I'm going to have a look at them when I get the chance. I'm actually away tomorrow for a week, but I will do. So, but as you see, Ghost Rider 2873, although he's in the hub, he's actually here. Andy 707's with us, and my phone is on. So let's get that off. Oops.
Just right around the room.
Yeah, why don't I? Yeah.
Just write down.
So-
That'll keep it quiet.
It will do. Now, first thing I want to talk about really is what we've been up to this week. Now, we haven't had much of a what did we do this week? John's been up for a week. We haven't really done much there, have we? So
No, we've been doing things, and we had the puppies.
we had the puppies for a while. Yeah.
And then we was joined by Andy here.
Yes.
I arrived on Friday.
Andy arrived on Friday, and we went for a walk around at Upper Mill yesterday, didn't we? So which is a lovely place.
On for the books as usual.
Yeah, I'm glad he brought his bank card because it cost him a fortune.
Yes, it did.
Having said that, he assures us that he did save a fortune as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And Mandy, if you're listening, I didn't spend that much. That's my wife, everybody.
Just a couple of 100.
No.
No, it wasn't. Don't get him into trouble.
No.
So anyway, last night we actually did a team investigation, and we took Andy along with us because Andy, you used to work with a company, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I've worked with Fright Nights many years ago, back in the early days of Fright Nights. I've also worked with the London Paranormal Society, run by a guy called Ian Shillito, who was Most Haunted for a bit. And I have worked on and off with John and Mysteria Paranormal, who's been on the show himself, hasn't he?
Yes, he
I
has.
also used to run a group called IOPR, and I was and still are kind of member of COTC based down in Sussex. And many, many moons ago, started off with a guy called Andy Collins doing a group called EarthQuest, which was about 50 years ago, as it feels like it.
Right. Well, and when you was with Fright Nights, I believe you was a medium.
I have worked as a medium, yes.
Yes.
More of, I always call like a locations medium. I don't pick up on like people's dead granny,
No.
but I can pick up on stuff that's happened at locations, and I've been told them pretty accurate in the past.
What we call investigating medium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
So why not? You know, then you're not
I tentatively call myself that.
an investigative medium.
Yes.
Yes, you do. So, but it's
This is
better
only water,
that way.
by the way. It's only water, guys.
It is better that way because then people aren't expecting you to pick up on
I wouldn't do that
things
sort
like
of
that.
stage work, that kind of nonsense.
No.
Not as nonsense for those who do it, but for me, it's nonsense. It's not me.
Yeah, this is it. So, but as I say, we have got a good show on for you tonight. We're going to be talking about hypnotherapy as well, and exploring the myths of that. He's going to be throwing away all that gripe. Bonkum, they are bonkum,
Bunkum.
that
all the
we
bunkum.
think about when it comes to hypnotherapy, which I must admit I've been highlighted this weekend. So haven't I really?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
because he demonstrated on me, I suppose that's the best way to call it, and I must say I was fully compos mentis, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yes. So more about that later. But until then, we've got Steve with the observations.
Well, here we go. Let me bring this up for us, and we can. I can give you the first link. Copy that one.
He's coming along with the link. Don't
It is.
worry.
It's awkward when it's just me, but I don't care. Here we go. And after double maths, it will be paganism schools told to put witchcraft and druids on RE syllabus. Paganism has been included in an official school religious education syllabus for the first time. Cornwall Council has told its schools that pagan beliefs, which include witchcraft, druidism, and the worship of ancient gods such as Thor, should be taught alongside Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. The requirements are spelled out in an agreed syllabus drawn up by Cornwall's RE Advisory Group. It says from the age of 5, children should begin learning about standing stones, such as Stonehenge. At the age of 11, pupils can begin exploring modern paganism and its importance for many in Cornwall. The syllabus adds that areas of study should include the importance of pre-Christian sites for modern pagans, and an accompanying guide says that pupils should understand the basic beliefs of paganism and suggests children should discuss the difficulties in practicing pagan pupil might face at school. But the council's initiative has dismayed some Christian campaigners who are alarmed that a religion once regarded as a fringe eccentricity is increasingly gaining official recognition. Critics point out that according to the council's own estimates, there are only between 600 and 750 pagans in Cornwall out of a total population of 537,400. Mike Judge, Christian Institute spokesman, said religious education is squeezed already. There is barely enough time to cover Christianity and the other major religions. Introducing paganism is just faddish and has more to do with the polite correctness of teachers than education needs of children. However, Neil Burden, the council's cabinet member for children's services, said that the move would give children access to the broad spectrum of religious beliefs. Now, Andy here is a teacher himself.
Absolutely.
So your views on that, sir?
Well, I can tell you that all councils arrange their own curriculums depending on what part of the country they are. There's no set curriculum across the country for RE. It depends on the population and their diversity, if you like. So the fact that someone like Cornwall, who has got strong religious links with paganism and witchcraft, etc., would have it on their curriculum makes perfect sense. And I don't see any problem with that. And the fact that Christians are up in arms about it just seems ridiculous, because it's a religion, whether they like it or not. Wiccan is recognised as a religion, and they have to live with that fact.
Yeah, so I mean, it begs the question: there's so many religions. Why should we just say, well, that one and that one? That's all you get.
Well, they want to be
just because those two happen to be popular.
Well, that's it. It's supposed to be representative of the local community. That's the idea. That's why London's RE curriculums tend to be very complex, because they cover all the major faiths. But you don't have to cover all of them outside of London. It's just what's the council agreed. So RE is statutory, but the curriculum's not. That's decided locally. So if there are, and that figure of only 600 pagans, I would question that straight away, because I think a lot of people just don't declare what religion they are.
Yeah, I would
pagans
question
would like
that
to
as
see
well.
themselves be outside of that sort of thing.
A lot of them will just say agnostic because they don't want to particularly say that I'm a Wiccan.
Exactly.
People give them funny looks.
Well, exactly. Also, I mean, the whole notion of teaching RE is problematic at best, as we were talking earlier on today. Hinduism is a good example of religion that doesn't exist. There's such a thing as Hinduism. It's an amalgamation of several religions from the Indian subcontinent, and they don't call it Hinduism either. But yet, that's how we teach it, as being Hinduism under one umbrella. So, teaching RE itself is problematic.
So it's a very difficult subject to teach as well.
It has its difficult, especially when you usually are limited to maybe only half an hour a week on the curriculum.
Yeah.
So you don't get much in at all, really.
It's like maybe covering one religion each session kind of thing until you build it up.
That tends to be what you end up doing. You'll cover different festivals, really, rather than the history. You won't do a basic outline of the history, then you're more focused on the festivals, because obviously they happen every year. So that's one way of teaching it.
So there's a lot of teachers in Cornwall that now got to start looking up the pagan history. And
again, it's a little bit like Hinduism. What are they actually going to teach? Because you've got Druidism would come under paganism, or traditional witchcraft, as you were talking about before. Wiccan comes under that. There are lots of different branches. So again, it gets complex.
Probably be the major Sabbats and stuff like that, maybe.
Possibly, very possibly. Again, it's basing it around the yearly celebrations, the equinoxes, the summer winter solstice. So yeah, interesting stuff there.
A lot of people will say that paganism is just a load of hippies dancing around the Stonehenge.
Much of it started off exactly like that, but then you think about other religions. Christianity is a bunch of people sitting around a fire talking about this guy was known to a tree, So
yeah, and as far as originally, as far as they knew, never existed at all.
Yeah. I mean, we can go into the history of Christianity. Until 1600s, I forget the name of the bloody thing. They got together. But
The-
basically
well,
decided
the
that
old
Christ was
Pontius
divine
Pilate
and not.
job.
No, long after that. But 600 AD, they decided what was going to be in the Bible, what wasn't going to be in the Bible, and it was that point that they decided Christ was divine and not human. Up to that point, he'd been human. So
Very true. But that wasn't at the time when old Pilate decided that the old Roman gods weren't in favour anymore because of the populace.
well, that was Constantine, Emperor Constantine,
Yeah,
300 plus AD, used Christianity as a way of uniting the Roman Empire as it was falling apart. But he was just a choice he happened to make of Christianity. Could have easily been Zoroastrianism, which is a worship of fire.
Don't fancy that one. Anyway, here we go for the next one.
Just before you go on with that, I've
There's your
been
link.
tweeting.
You've been tweeting.
Okay, and I tweeted about the fact that the show was starting in just over 5 minutes, just about 15 minutes ago, and Madhuri Blakelock actually retweeted it, and then I put on about the fact that you were doing the observations for the week, and Claudette Mallinson retweeted that as well.
Well, thank you very much, guys.
Thank you to them. So
And here's one for all you followers of the Da Vinci Code and the likes. British police raid a pub in search of the Holy Grail. This was written by William James of Reuters. British police raided an English country pub this week in search of a stolen wooden relic believed by some to be the Holy Grail, a cup from which, according to the Bible, Jesus is said to have drunk at his final meal before crucifixion. The Grail has captivated religious experts for centuries, spawning myriad of theories about its location and inspiring numerous fictional accounts from the Middle Ages onwards. The object of the police search, which was unsuccessful, was a frail wooden bowl known as the Nantos. I assume that's how it's pronounced. I'm sure Andy will correct me. Just turn it around so we can see it there. Nantios cup that has been attributed to healing powers since the 19th century, attracting pilgrims and others who believe it may be the Holy Grail itself. After receiving a tip-off, a team of 8 officers and a police dog arrived on Sunday morning at the Crown Inn in a village pub in the rural English county of Herefordshire. They turned the place upside down. They came with fibre optic cameras to look in all the corners and nooks and crannies under the floorboards. They were clearly serious about it. The pub's landlady, Di Franklin, said, "Police said the relic, a dark wooden cup kept inside a blue velvet bag, had been stolen from a house in the area about a month ago. Photographs are available online, show a bowl-shaped vessel with around half its side missing. We get a few rogues and scallywags in the pub, but no one who's quite on the level of stealing a priceless ancient artifact," Franklin said. The cup takes its name from Nantios Mansion, a country house in Wales, where the vessel is reported to have been stored until 1952, after 16th century monks fleeing Henry VIII's desolation of the English monasteries sought refuge there. The cup was said to have been brought to Britain after Jesus' death by Joseph of Arimathea, the biblical figure who provided Christ with a tomb and, according to legend, brought Christianity to Britain. Scientists have examined the cup, have said it almost certainly dates from many centuries after the crucifixion and is not made of the olive wood that might have been expected for the Middle Eastern drinking vessel. Noting about the of Joseph coming here, it kind of adds a little bit of the old Dan Brown there, because he's supposed to have come over with Mary Magdalene, hasn't he, at the time, from France on to England and then back to France again.
Well, I can add a bit more to that as well about Joseph of Arimathea. He's supposed to have landed in Glastonbury in 63 AD. And there's a hill to the west of Glastonbury, east of Glastonbury, called Wirial Hill, which is supposed to be shortened version of a Weary All, as in all weary because they've just arrived.
Yeah.
And when it used to be, Glastonbury was pretty much an island and was surrounded by water, so a ship or a boat could sail up to it. And he supposedly planted his staff in the ground, which then grew into what's called the Holy Thorn, which unfortunately was cut down a few years ago by some dispute over the land ownership, caused the tree to have been rather badly mutilated. But it is apparently regrowing, and I'm going there next week, so I shall have a little look.
Yes, if it is regrowing, take a picture for us.
I will do.
Stick it up on the side
Now, Steve, before you continue, can you do me a favour, please?
Go on then.
Can you turn your side light off, please?
I can indeed.
Yes,
We're
because
about to get dark. There we go.
you've been glaring a bit to the chat room.
I've been
people.
shining it. I've been shining at everybody.
Mr. Shiny Head.
Yes. I don't know.
How's that?
So is this Wikipedia one? Is that the next one?
No, that's me posted up. That's the link to the Hypnosis Cup.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
he's found the cup there. That is the next one.
Okay.
Which is we're off to Peru. The mystery of the Nazca lines deepens. Gales and sandstorms reveal geoglyphs of a snake, a llama in the Peruvian desert. The mysteries of the Nazca lines carved into the Peruvian desert have intensified after gales and sandstorms reveal previously unseen designs. A pilot discovered the geoglyphs of what appears to be 196 feet long as a 60 meter snake, as well as a type of camelid, such as a llama, above an unidentified bird. The new lines join existing geoglyphs of a dog, hummingbird, condor, and a monkey, thought to have been drawn by the ancient Nazca people between the 1st and 6th centuries. The discovery was made by pilot Eduardo Haran Gomez de la Torre as he flew over the hills of El Iguanil, valley of Pampas de Joami, as reported by El Comercio. How'd I do, John? Archaeologists are now working to confirm the authenticity of the lines. The geoglyphs, have more commonly known as the Nazca lines, were first spotted from the air in 1939 when a pilot flew over the Nazca region of the Peruvian coastal highlands. They were designated an UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994, and the area stretches more than 50 miles, that's 80 kilometers, between the towns of Nazca and Palpa, 248 miles, 400 kilometers south of Lima. There we go, they've found some new lines, which is interesting. It's how I find it hard to envisage doing something that big from the ground, because obviously they didn't fly at that time, so how would they know what it actually looked like?
No idea.
And yet they get it all from ground level.
Yeah, on the outside of the usual UFO explanations, they've been suggesting that they had some kind of early form of air balloon of some kind that they could actually get off the ground. Yes.
They shout down, a little to the left.
No, it's too big. But I don't know. They are one of those mysteries, unfortunately, we're never going to really have an explanation for.
Not until some alien comes back and says you did that bit wrong.
Actually, yeah, that's the best chance.
Just to let you know, on your second observation on Twitter, Reddit Paranormal favorited that one. They like that one.
That's not. I like it when they favourite it. There's your next one there, guys. Ghost Hunters of Old Town Chapel is haunted. There we go. We're off to Albuquerque. For our listeners in America, a group of paranormal investigators say they only investigate the most haunted locations. They came to Albuquerque to the Chapel of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Old Town. They weren't disappointed. Some locals say the chapel is a special place with one positive energy of mysticism. Yet to a group of paranormal investigators believe there's a lot more than that to it. They say it's haunted, really haunted. Some paranormal investigators say the old chapel of Our Lady is the most haunted places in the country and have photographs and audio to prove it. On Sunday, a couple of Old Town ghost tour guides took a look at the photos, and the EVPs, or electronic voice phenomenon, thought to be the voices of ghosts. That was an interesting thing. I don't know if that was. I couldn't tell whether that was an EVP or just may have been someone else in the background saying it, but it could have been, says Old Town tour guide Rick Walter. As for the rest of the video, the guides Nancy Tudor and Rick Walter say they have no doubt the photos are authentic. I've seen orbs like that before. I've seen streaks of light like that before, I have no disbelief, I guess, says Tudor. It's very common, as Walter. The two are very familiar with the chapel, and the spirit said to roam the place. There is an individual who has been observed, they say, praying and meditating in there, who has been referred to as the woman in black, explains Walter. They say she's not a menacing presence, but some say she appears when tragedy strikes. Others say she's a protector. The lady in black, a couple of episodes I've heard she was described as actually sitting there and grieving, says Walter. Yet it is that chapel really as haunted as some investigators claim. We're not here to really put an idea into their heads, and I think if you use certain words, you've already preset them up, says Tudor. They want you to decide for yourself. The guides say the chapel was built in the early 70s by Dominican nuns studying art at the Vatican. It was erected as a place to pray and as a sanctuary for the community. They started an artist community and a school to study art. Yet all the Dominican nuns wore white. The tour guides say researchers have questioned the chapel founding nuns as to who the black lady might be. She says she's just as dumbfounded as everyone else. Now, I'm sorry. They say that talking about orbs and streaks of light here.
Yeah.
To date, to my knowledge at least, no one has said that any orb or streak of light is paranormal.
Yes.
There's no, just because it's supposed to be something. Mm-hmm. How can we say it's haunted because we've got orbs?
Absolutely.
I mean, we all know that it could be anything from dust to moisture to insects or just camera flare.
Well, in fear of repeating myself ad infinitum, I mentioned this in the show before, I'm sure a friend of mine, who shall remain nameless for various reasons, but he did a long-term research project on orbs and photographs, and he got to the point that if you show him an orb, he could tell you which make of camera it was taken by. That's how clear he was, and he was right every time. So,
yeah, I mean, because we all know, or we should do, if we're doing the paranormal, that most of these orbs never appeared on the old cameras.
Absolutely.
Because the lens and the flash was further away.
And it's a different kind of technology.
Yeah.
They started off in Japan being photographed over graves as being grave spirits, is what they thought. But also, if you get a higher resolution camera up to the real good professional level, you don't get orbs because the speed of the shutter is much faster.
Right. So there you go. Not only do you need a very expensive camera to get rid of the orbs, it is advisable not to have a camera where the flash is close to the lens because you're going to get flashback of just about anything that's in front.
Which is why professional photographers always have a separate arm with a flash on it.
Yep. So there you go. So if that's what they're saying is proof, then I'm afraid I'm going to have to diss that one. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys, but well, we would actually have more proof from last night that something was haunted, and he got himself a little shock.
Well, we'll come back to that.
We're going to come back to that one,
yes.
Okay. Well, that's me done for the observations. I'm
afraid.
Really? Yes.
No, I've got one more I want to add in. Which
go on then.
Which Steve and I were talking about earlier.
And unfortunately, Reiki Debs is not in, but
yes,
it was actually Reiki Debs that posted it on Facebook.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So she does know about it.
Well, I won't say the name of the website because it's actually a bit problematic, but its full name is womenofgrace.com. And they are a Christian site where you can put in questions about various things and get answers from the site. And this was rather interesting. It's all about Reiki massage, which, as Steve and I discussed earlier, there's no such thing as Reiki massage. You don't physically touch anybody. It's energy manipulation. Anyway, this is the article. NB writes, not so long ago, I had a Reiki massage. Before I knew that this was an occult-based practice. Is it possible that I might have been spiritually harmed by this? And the reply comes back, yes, it's very possible.
Shock horror.
You do not want to be in the same room with evil entities, even if you're not one consorting with them. Demons don't care who invite them. Once they show up, whoever's there is open game. This is why an exorcist recently warned the public of Oklahoma City not to attend a black mass that is scheduled to take place in Oklahoma City Center. I cannot believe for a moment they're having a black mass in Oklahoma City Center. But the date being the 21st of September suggests it might be some kind of equinox celebration. So, of course, that's the time of the equinox. I'm not going to go to the whole details of this message. It is utterly ridiculous. But describing Reiki masters as invoking Satan, as to do in a black mass. Then, of course, saying that the whole New Age movement is actually false. It's false gods and avoid the New Age gods. And I can't even bring myself to read the rest of this raving nonsense. But it's just unfortunate that it's wrong on so many levels.
Why do you think that people go down the dark side of everything?
Well, Christianity will do, because they are the ones that have given us the whole notion of black and white, dark and light, good and evil. It's a Christian concept, so of course they want to keep verifying it all the time. But certainly the idea that Reiki has anything to do with any kind of spiritual healing or spirit guides is absolutely nonsense.
Kind of smacks of extremism, doesn't it?
Somewhat. And you wonder, why are Christians so afraid of any other religion? Why do they have such a negative attitude to everything else?
I don't know.
I think it's a power trip, like all religions.
But what are they afraid of?
All the main religions, put it that way.
Yeah, but it is, to me, there are only two faiths on this planet that act this way, are very anti everybody else. And without getting into politics, we both know who the other one is, because it's in problems regularly on the news. But, or rather, let's be honest, the extremists. But again, I imagine the people who've written this article or replied to this article are extremists in that sense as well. But why do these religions that are so big and billions of followers still feel so threatened by other faiths? It's strange.
I know, it's just beyond
I mean, on top of the old adage that everybody says there's one God under many names, so if we're all doing the same God, what difference does it make what we actually call them?
This is the problem. You find, as we were talking earlier, religions kind of fall into two groups. You have elitist, effectively, and universalist. The elitist groups would say that their God is the only God, the only way, whereas universalists would say, well, our God is our way of getting there. We think ours is faster.
Well, Dave,
we accept we're not the only way of doing it.
Dave Lloyd has come in shouting, God made man, man made religion, is my thought.
Well, yeah.
I think he's got his caps lock stuck again. Welcome, Dave.
Welcome, Dave, to the show, and anybody else that's joined us recently, please remember.
But he's right. Man made religion. God didn't.
Well, I can go along with... a man of faith myself, but I'm not religious, because I think religion is a set of doctrine rules that you're supposed to obey. Faith is the belief that there's something more than just us.
Yeah. Just remember, that if you want to join us in the chat room, come in and join us. Have some fun with everybody there and ask questions as well. Don't forget, one thing I do want to say just quickly is because of the weather and everything, and we are unfortunately holden to live stream. If it goes off, please just refresh the page and we will do the same and hopefully get back to you as soon as possible.
Not just live stream, but at the moment we are still on the tail end of Hurricane Bertha.
That's what I mean, the weather and everything.
Who knows what's going to go down.
So, but
we actually lost the internet for a week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Well, we lost the internet first, then the phones, then we got the internet back.
Yeah.
So it's all down to the high winds and stuff that's going around.
I don't know.
Okay.
But as I say, we're going to get into the hypnosis and the past life regression in a moment, but we went out last night to do a team investigation. It's a place that our group actually did originally when we first started back in 2007.
It's our very first investor as UK Shadow Seekers.
And we've been back there this year before, but we went last night, and because Andy's been our guest for the weekend, we asked them to come along with us. And what I'd like to say is not much happened, but what did happen is very interesting. We started off on the ground floor, and we had our REM pod sitting there with the K2, and basically what happened was we were calling out. We had the K2 there, plus this new... Well, I say new, it's not new to us. It's called Ghost Hunter M2 app. Now, people have dissed this in the past, and apparently it's been used on Ghost Adventurers. But the phone we use is actually just for that. It can't pick up any signal, can it, Steve?
No, the aerial's been removed.
Aerial's been removed.
Yeah,
It
the SIM
doesn't.
card, of course.
Yeah, the SIM card's been removed. It's not a phone anymore. It's been converted.
Yeah, Andy uses his phone and the computer to actually put the apps on that we need.
It's another Andy, not me.
Yes.
But that's our Tigger.
Our Tigger.
Why
And
is he not in the chat room,
basically,
actually?
is he there?
No.
Oh,
right.
no. Well, he fell asleep earlier.
No.
But as I say, we were using this, and what it is, it's similar to a spirit box, which simply scans frequencies, giving off random words. And whilst calling out for spirit to talk to us, the REM pod went off, and the M2 said, talking. And we actually did say, is there any spirit there that will talk to us? And it said talking, and then said group. Now, we, as UK Shadow Seekers, haven't been down there on that ground level since 2007, had we, Steve?
No.
And back then, we picked up on the name of Tony Greenham, who was in the Crimean War. He gave us a date of 1854. Let me just get my notes, and while I'm talking to you, and basically, when we went to the record office, we actually found one Tony in the Crimean War from the area, and it was actually Tony Needham. Now,
so we was
assuming that maybe we misheard him. Just see where I am here to tell you a little about that. Yes, we picked up on the name Tony Greenham, who served in the Crimean War but had two dates that were significant to him, 1854 and 1858. He said he was the guy who was looking after the place. On further checking at the record office, we found no mention of Tony Greenham, but only one Tony Needham, who served in the Crimean and was wounded in 1854. We may have misheard his name, as I said, but during this time there was also barracks nearby. We also found out in our search of Beswick Joseph Hudson, who was a landowner at the time, and he rented this to Amy Mathers and others before the mill was built. But that probably goes back to something else that was mentioned there. But it was quite weird that he'd given us these two dates. One was 1854, and he was actually injured in that. There was an outbreak of cholera in the Crimean as well in that time. So, but as I say, we hadn't been down there since 2007.
Without searching too much through your notes, if I remember rightly, he was injured on one date and left the army on the other.
Well, this is it. Yeah, he was wounded on 1854, and I think he actually left the army 4 years later. That's what we picked up, and they were the two dates that were significant to him.
Yeah.
So, but it did say he was wounded on the records in 1854. So anyway, going back to last night, we were calling out. We didn't really think we picked up on the man Tony Needham, even though we tried calling out for him. Now, Andy Mercer, Andy 707 here.
That's me.
That's him. After a while, we moved down to the other end of the ground floor, and Andy sat down in this chair, and we sat on these settees near him, because it's basically at the moment a bit of a warehouse storage area. And Andy, do you want to take up the story?
Yeah, absolutely. I sat down on this chair, nice and comfortable, knowing that I was just getting myself comfortable, and I thought I better take my glasses off on the top of my head, because I'm walking around with those, I'm probably going to fall off with these old man glasses. And when I sat down, I realised my glasses were actually sitting tucked in front of my shirt, which I'm doing now, like that. So I thought, these aren't my glasses on my head. When I reached out, I picked up this pair of gold-rimmed half-moon glasses, no glass in. And I thought, where the bloody hell do they come from? I don't know how long I've been walking around them on my head.
No.
Because the last time I remember using my actual glasses was upstairs in the hub, so it could half hour, 40 minutes at least.
Now, John, do you want to come over here a minute, please?
Yes.
He's
Come
going to take up the
John.
story just before then, and tell us about what you found before then and where they actually were.
Basically, we found the glasses case which they were in. That was still in situ on the shelf. But I had noticed them earlier on, like pre-investigation, walking around where they were, and they were in the case then.
They were definitely in the case.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Well,
okay.
I stood in the immediate area of them as I
Thank you, John.
remembered afterwards, and I thought about it. I vaguely remember seeing that and
Stay
some
there.
books, but I certainly never picked the case up, didn't open it, and didn't do anything with it at all.
Now, when you actually saw these were on your head and you were thinking, where the hell did these come from? John went back, didn't you?
I certainly did.
And what did you find?
The glasses case was empty.
What do you think to that, guys? That was,
Also, don't forget, he put the other end. He put the meter on the gauze
Yes.
meter, and it was actually had a reading from it.
Yes.
Cheers, John.
Yes. He, our Tigger, Andy, he put the gauze meter on the lower setting,
yes,
and he was picking EMF off the glasses.
yes. This is what we couldn't understand.
There's no logical reason whatsoever why.
Yeah.
And he was picking it up for quite a while.
He was.
It wasn't just there
It
and
wasn't.
gone.
No, it was.
It was a good 5-10 minutes he was getting that.
So it was really good.
Evening Viscount.
I did try to Twitter it all, but my phone's not connected to Twitter, and I actually thought that by doing it on Facebook, it would go to Twitter, but it only does it the other way around. But I did update people today, and I will be putting the report on soon. But that was very interesting, though, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
And it sort of freaked you a little bit.
Well, it was a bit. I'm used to doing all sorts of weird, wonderful things, being ghost hunting for God knows how many years, but it was more the surprise. Thinking, bloody, I mean, probably some people might have run away and never come back again after that. But I was like, oh, when did you put those on my head? Because it felt like it had glasses up there the entire time.
Yeah, yeah.
So God knows when they got there, or how they got there.
Now, later on in the evening, going back to this Ghost Hunter M2 app, as I mentioned before, there's a bit of pros and cons to it, to be honest with you. Now, we've used it for the past couple of months, and it's getting warm over there.
It's very shiny, apparently.
Very shiny.
It's shiny.
And basically what happened was...
Makeup!
Don't shout. Basically, we've used it over the last few months, and it's been quite interesting. The first time we used it, we asked Spirit a question. Hello, what's that there?
Incident with a phone in the pocket, apparently. Mobile phone in your pocket.
In my pocket.
Yeah, we were searching for the
last
phone,
night.
and it ended up in your pocket.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, a little
Sorry,
bit.
we just thrown off
Yeah.
completely.
A couple of months ago, what happened was we was checking it out and seeing how it works this first time, and we was talking in this vigil, and for some unknown reason, the thing was said phone, and I said, "Do you want to ring somebody?" Straight away, it said yes, and that was quite interesting. On last night, for instance, me and Lim, as I say, later on in the evening, was downstairs in the ground level, just on our own, and we were calling out, and we heard a noise, and we asked, and the REM pod went off, the K2 started flickering, and we said, "Can you do that again, please?" And the app, the M2, as I'd like to call it now, just came out with skeptical, as if to say, you're skeptical. But we have the last time we was out as a public, we was at Lancaster Castle, and just to give you an idea, it's done other things obviously, but these are just the specific ones. We were at an area where we was on the stairs, and Steve had said, "Go down that corridor past about 6 cells to the bottom cell," and he stayed on the stairs. Now, whilst we was in there, the M2 was being a bit random, and all of a sudden I heard this noise. I said, "What was that noise?" And he said, "Oh, it was me." He'd been playing with his Velcro. He'd put his torch back in it, and on his vest, yeah. He'd just opened his Velcro to put the torch back in his pocket. And I went, "Stephen," and all straight away the M2 went, "Stephen," so something's got to be going on there. It must be picking something up.
It has, but like we were saying there, you were actually looking for the iPhone that has that app on it last night, and we searched everywhere. We knew where it was.
Yeah,
we knew where it's supposed to have been anyway.
And I hadn't even seen it all night.
So we thought we'd lost it. We'd have a look later. So we went downstairs, and all of a sudden it's in
my pocket.
in Sue's pocket.
Yeah. I didn't, and I hadn't seen it all night. I'd seen people mention about it and what have you, and have you got it, and this, that, and the other. But
there was something else that put a surprised look on Andy's face last night as well.
Which one, Andy?
Andy
707
Andy
here.
707 here.
Uh-huh.
We were sitting upstairs and we had the REM pod on the hallway.
Oh, yes.
And it's going off, and Sue just says, "Can you stop that?" And it stopped straight away. And Andy went, "What?" And she did that twice.
Several times.
She did that twice upstairs, but downstairs.
Downstairs was fun.
She did it again.
Yeah.
This time she went, "Can you turn that off, please? 1, 2, 3." Clicked her fingers and it stopped dead.
Yep.
And she did that twice.
And I said, "Can you do it again, please? 1, 2, 3, click," and it started. And it actually ended up draining the batteries, didn't it?
It did.
Which was quite weird.
It does need a new battery, yeah.
Because when we came out of that area and I turned it back on again, it was working fine.
Yeah, John had the same thing with his laser thermometer.
Yeah,
it would not work. It wouldn't come on, nothing. And yet when we got back upstairs, it worked straight away.
Yeah.
How common is that, though? You find electronic equipment starts to malfunction when things
I know.
are starting to happen. It's so common.
But I know they talk about these apps that they're no good and all this, that and the other, but this M2, as I say, this doesn't pick up anything else. It's not going to pick up any signals. There's no aerial in it or anything. We've really converted this. So there must be something in it. And it works, as I said, on the same similar way as the Spirit Box.
It does, yes.
And it's used on Ghost Adventures.
And on top of that, because there's no aerial in it, it can't actually scan anything.
No, this is it.
There's nothing for it to scan because it can't reach anything.
So,
but we obviously we do get
turn it on.
We do get a lot of silly stuff come through.
But myself, I know.
Sorry.
But there are times when it does become very significant when it actually answers you and you talk back to it and kind of thing.
So we had a problem with the ghost pen as well, didn't we? It was flickering.
Yes.
So that seemed to be shuddering for some reason when it was set up. Viscount says, "Here's a question. Why do ghost spirits use batteries when they can just help people? When they can just help themselves to a socket in the wall. It's 240 volts too much power, maybe."
I put it this way: those that know about the sockets in the wall know it's dangerous to stick your fingers in it.
Yes.
It's not easy to pick up a battery.
As I've always said, spirits and people, it doesn't matter. We're all people. We probably all can get electrocuted. But no, seriously, it probably does.
It would interfere with electric field.
Yes.
That's the problem. It causes destruction in the field, which is why they start to things act up and batteries discharge rapidly. Because often, as we found, they don't necessarily discharge. They work perfectly fine in a different place.
Well, this is
somewhere else, they work perfectly fine.
Yeah, we had a similar thing with an iPhone that our Shabba was taking pictures at the Transport Museum. It's happened to him at a couple of venues with both his phones because he has two.
Yeah.
And he was taking pictures, and all of a sudden, out of battery.
Yeah.
He comes out the area and it's got a full battery again.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's really strange the way
we
these things happen.
went into another area. We moved up to the front of the actual ground level, back towards the door, and we went into this little room, and Andy 707 here, I say that because you know who he is then, he had his K2, I had mine, and we'd situated them on a pile of records, didn't we? And I was calling out to see who was there, and I said, "Is it a woman?" And mine flashed before you put yours down. Mine flashed really strong, and I said, "What's your name? Is your name Elizabeth?" Because we'd originally got Elizabeth on the M2, as I call it now, and so it flashed again. So Andy said, "Well, let's just see what it does when my K2's there." So we basically parked them sort of like that, if you can see what I'm doing, and they were literally doing it simultaneously, weren't they? Literally answering. Now there was a little bit of confusion because they was picking up what we thought was EMF, but it was a concrete floor.
Yep.
We checked everywhere, didn't we? There was nothing there.
Having said that, when our Tigger used the Gauss meter, and he used the low end of it, he was picking up low end EMF in that whole area.
Yeah.
Now
but it was doing it on command with us.
It was, but
very much so.
But in the low end, the K2s won't pick that up because it needs to be at least 1.5 before it picks anything up.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was there just means that any spirit that comes in will just have to use that and top it up to communicate.
The Viscounts come back and said, are ghosts becoming more modern using phones, iPads, etc., instead of the normal methods, communication it means? What do you think, Andy? Do you think they're learning to adapt, or?
I think again it's also to do with the fact that they are of energy themselves.
Yeah, so they're detecting the energy.
Yeah, and they cause disruptions in those devices. I mean, I was on a bit of investigation years ago with COTC of a pub where the landlady had picked up, actually her son had picked it up, was the voice of a young girl on a mobile phone. It was an old one, so it was a good few years ago, where you could have like a memo system built into it. It wasn't like a voicemail, it was just a memo thing. So the phone had been left, switched off in the kitchen, charging up. And he'd gone to the kitchen and saw the lights on the phone were on. It's the old-fashioned ones with the buttons on the front which lit up. And when he looked, there was a one memo. And when he played the memo, it was a young girl's voice. Now, the pub, there was no young girls.
Speaking to the mic.
No young girls living.
Not that
there were no young girls living in the pub. There was just the staff.
Yeah.
Which was two sons in their 20s and the mother. So there was definitely no member of staff or family who could have made the recording, yet there it was, as clear as a bell. And that was 2001, 2002.
Really?
So,
and Ghost Rider as well, all that was going on. He asked me to come out to where he'd seen something, and where we were looking, I decided to get the dowsing rods, and there was actually a vortex there. That was it wasn't constant, but it was there.
Oh, where was that?
As you come out, right where that first lot of boxes are as you come out.
Ah.
As you come through where it narrows to come through.
That's why I kept feeling the cold patch when I was sitting down as well.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't very strong, but it was coming and going. So and both me and John both saw a shadow there.
Certainly a couple of times I felt very, very cold behind me. Just suddenly like opening the freezer door, staying beside it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no one took a picture.
It wasn't that cold last night, really, I thought. Some of you felt cold, and I actually...
It got very cold when we were doing the seance. It's like a Force 10 ghost blind to the top bit.
Harms.
Bare harms. As opposed to Bear Grylls.
Yeah. I don't know, but it was quite an interesting night, as I say.
Yeah.
The other thing... Andy was a bit of a lightweight last night.
No, that's not fair.
He fell asleep upstairs on the top floor in the gym. And,
it has been a while since he's done it.
I was alone in the gym all by myself.
And we'd gone back downstairs. We did go on to the middle floor, and then because there wasn't much happening there, we went straight down to the ground level again. And just before we came up, we actually heard somebody walking above us, and the able-bodied people in the group. Not me. They went straight upstairs to have a look to see whether Andy had come down to see whether we were still on the middle level, and there was nobody there. So they run back up, but found Andy here, 707, at the other end of the gym.
Of the top floor, yeah.
Of the top floor. So if you can imagine, this is an old silk mill.
Yeah.
So we're looking at long rooms. So it was really interesting.
And just on a slightly funny note, while we was down in the middle floor, I decided to put the laser pointers through the top windows, and Andy was looking to see where they were going.
Well, I knew it was you guys. That's how you were doing it. Oh, but don't forget one thing that happened quite early on as well.
What was that?
Thunder? Well, what the hell it was, I don't know.
It sounded like thunder, and then we thought it might have been fireworks.
Sounded like someone doing a dance on the roof.
It did
really did rumble, yeah. There certainly were fireworks later in the evening, but there was nowhere that was fireworks. It was far too close.
No,
I mean, when we opened the front door, it did sound like there was some fireworks going off.
Yeah, in the distance,
because after the original rumble, there was that
but there was no rain or anything, so
there was certainly a different kind of sound.
Yeah,
and that early one.
And it did happen 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Were you upstairs the first time? So someone had already gone downstairs. Oh no, it was John and the other end had gone down for a smoke, and we were upstairs.
And Tig had gone down for a smoko, and we was on the top floor when it went.
And as they came up, they turned the lights off as they came up from the ground floor. They turned the ground floor light off. Then the middle floor light off, and when they actually stepped, Andy came in onto the landing first, and John was halfway up the stairs, and all of a sudden the light came on.
Yeah, call him Tigger so we know.
Yeah, Tigger. sorry, Tigger came up and he managed to get onto the landing where we was on the top floor. And as John came round, all of a sudden the light came on. And he said that he didn't. I said, "You sure you didn't touch it?"
No, there were 2 floor lights.
Yeah,
two
well,
different
this
floors
is it.
came on.
Yeah, well, we noticed that one because it was close to us. And then when you went downstairs to check it, it was nowhere near. John was halfway up the stairs. He was nowhere near the light. Because when Andy looked back, he saw John behind him. Yeah. And when you went down, you noticed that the ground floor was on as well. Yeah, the ground floor
lights was on. I went all the way down to the bottom, turned them all off, and came back up again. And I swear, something or someone followed me back up the stairs.
Wow!
Because there was double footfalls as I was coming up the stairs.
Yeah.
That was a bit unnerving, especially when you can't see what's following.
Oh, I know.
If you can see it, you can go, wait, what do you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
But no, it was quite interesting, I must admit.
Absolutely.
And we will be going back. We spoke to the owner today, and he's been telling us of another level, the lower level, which is part of the 18th century building, because where we was like the 19th century overlap.
Which kind of answers your question on the night about some of it older than other.
Yeah. Yes.
You did ask it, didn't you?
You know, and hopefully we're going to get into that bit, because apparently things have been seen where they've stacked on top of each other. Which tells me
not going to be able to make it.
Yeah, no. So this is it. It's nice having you on the show, though.
Yeah.
to answer,
Skype each week.
Yeah. To answer Viscount's question there, he said, "Have you recorded these footsteps with the EVP recorder?" Well, the ones that followed me up the stairs, no, because I didn't have one with me.
Because he'd only just gone downstairs to turn the lights off.
Yeah, that's the only reason I went down. And the ones that was above us, we was recording.
We've got to check the recordings.
So we've got to check the recordings, and hopefully it has picked them up.
Yeah. One thing we didn't do last night, because of the lack of transport, we had a full car, so we couldn't get any equipment to actually do any more recording.
Yeah, we couldn't put the cams up last night, unfortunately.
But we'll see what happens, and look forward to follow up on that. Yeah, yes. So hopefully next time we'll have some room in the car to put the cameras up.
John thought he'd actually picked up a ghost earlier on his EVP, but it was me at the other end of the room.
Yeah. And what about the best bit of the night?
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, our Tigger. He pooped himself. Now, we were in the middle floor, in the what used to be the office area. He's got his white light torch looking at something outside, and he suddenly sees a disembodied hand in the glass.
And after frightening himself.
After moving rather faster than he should have done with his knee in a brace, he actually realised it was a reflection of his own hand.
Yeah.
So his Mrs. Marie is having a good giggle about that one.
Yeah. One thing that Ghost Riders just put there, when we was downstairs in the lower ground, in the ground floor, the second time when Andy was upstairs, what happened was I heard what sounded like the plastic of like bubble wrap, but it wasn't bubble wrap. It wasn't somebody, bursting it or anything. It was, a bit like that. Now, I heard that, and then all of a sudden afterwards somebody found some bubble wrap, but that's by the by. But John was listening to his EVP recorder today, and he caught it at a different time, and it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah,
it sounds like rustling plastic.
Yeah, is that a time when you've already moved up?
Yeah, I've already gone. I wasn't even there, so he said it was a different time. So but yeah, it was quite, like I said, not a lot happened, but what did happen was interesting. Last time we went there, just to give you an idea, I was trying to replicate it this time, but last time we went there, we was doing a seance in the gym with the door open to the landing, and all our boxes were out on the landing, and somebody literally flipped the lid, the handle, didn't they? So that was quite, and I wanted it to happen again.
Yeah, we did try, but there was a lot of energy around us. None of them really wanted to talk to us.
The location was actually in Macclesfield. It was an old mill, and it was a private event. Yeah,
and
it's a little playground.
It did get quite cold, didn't it, Andy, when we were doing the seance?
Yeah.
Oh, certainly.
Quite a few of us were really cold. I had cold arms, but my hands were always warm.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually a place called Crompton Mill, but as I say, he's asking us to have a look at it, and he's trying to find out more about the place as well. So,
Yeah.
But
we first met the gentleman when we were doing the Silk Mill Museum.
Yes.
And he actually came across and said, "Do you want to check my place out?"
Yeah, yeah.
And
so just to give you a little bit about it, it's a Grade 2 listed English heritage building, and it was used for silk weaving and a cotton spinning mill, circa 1825 with late 19th century additions. And basically it's a single row of slim cast iron columns carrying timber beams with timber roof structures, formerly steam powered. The engine house, which did not survive intact, was to the east of the mill building. You looked at me then, Andy.
Oh, Susan.
All right. I thought thought you twigged on something.
No,
but
I
yeah,
didn't notice a bit about the actual where the mill was.
Yeah.
The power.
Later, a weaving shed to the south and three-story mills. Three-story mill to the north was added, which is probably where we was at the time. In the late 19th century, this was added, and it became silk throsters and manufacturers, and it was occupied by an engineering firm. So that's basically a bit about it, and we've got people that owned it, and
But also,
children to the marriage. And
as John just pointed out,
yeah,
we discovered an alien.
Oh yes,
living in the building. An
he
alien.
did.
And I don't mean illegal alien. I mean alien.
Yes.
in fact, we found the grey.
We found a grey, didn't we?
He looked rather unhappy, I think. Actually.
We'll put it on our. If you've got it there, put it on the KTPF page so everyone can see it.
No, it's not
Right,
working.
okay,
The link's not
no
working
problem.
from Facebook directly.
Oh, hold on. Have you managed to? Is it not working?
No, it's not. The last part is not underlined, so it doesn't actually appear properly.
Oh, I don't know.
Put it in
Bitly and do it that way.
True. That was me who gave you the idea in the first place.
That does work. You told me about it.
Absolutely.
The funny thing about this grey is that most of us walked right past it and didn't see it. I still haven't seen it.
In this particular room where this alien was.
I saw it the first time we went.
Yeah. There was actually three large cast iron, I don't know whether they are, metal statues there. One of a cyborg, one of like Terminator without the skin, and Hellraiser.
Now, can we say that the cyborg you're talking about is actually RoboCop?
Oh, is it RoboCop?
There's RoboCop, yeah, Terminator, and Pinhead. And if you can go to Ghost Rider's Facebook, you'll see some of the pictures.
And talking about aliens, it seems to be following us.
Yeah. There's the link to the timeline photograph if you can see it.
Yes. Only we got a green.
Yes, we got a green. We've got this today. So.
Yeah, I've put the link onto the page. So see if it works.
So let's see whether it works. But
click on that link for there.
The Wiki link. You should give you the image.
There we go. It does work.
There it is.
But yes,
there it is.
Yes. So as I say, it's see if I can do that later.
He seems to be listening out for something. John says somebody's nicked his mobile phone.
That's what it looks like, certainly.
Yeah.
I'd like to know where on earth the owner of the building got the thing from.
I know. So, but he's a very well-known chap in the area. So.
What, the grey?
No, the owner. He's a very upstanding man, sort of thing.
Yes, just about everybody seems to know him.
Yeah, so he's a well-known guy.
I feel sorry for Viscount. He's obviously got problems at home.
So, but yeah, it was a good night, and as I say, we will be going back and trying to find out more of the history and everything. So, you know, it's. But I think you're loving tonight, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
God.
That's so.
We know what it's like when I'm typing on there. I'm typing like a lunatic trying to get chip into the bloody thing. I'm just sitting here now.
Well, why don't you come on Skype and be?
Oh, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Be the Skype guest.
Yeah, the
Skype guy.
Yeah, the Skype guy.
Looks like we're going to have to make another trip to Chester, to the old record office.
Yes, it does,
and
doesn't
see what
it?
else we can find.
Yeah, and see what else we can find. So
really weird.
Viscount said it looks like his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got problems at home then.
We was in Macclesfield, but we have to go all the way to Chester to get the.
I know,
get
it's
the
weird, isn't it? All the way to Chester. So it's nowhere near. It's
the same with Ashton, and that, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had to go to Chester to get the
Ashton
main
line.
ones.
So
I mean, Ashton does have a a small office, but everything gets sent down from Chester.
Yeah.
Where
Just
everything
noticed
else.
that I've not looked at the camera for quite a while, the image,
Yeah.
and now that the sun's gone down, I've actually got hair again on top of my head, which is quite nice.
You've got what?
Hair on my head.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do have hair on top
Now
of my
the
head. It's just
sun's
very
gone.
fine. I always look bored whenever I see myself on the camera.
I don't know. So, but yeah, it was a really interesting night. So, and I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know. So, right.
Absolutely.
So on to we've got a couple of things to mention later. So,
Mhm.
John's just said about the Stephen King book. What's this about?
Oh
Stephen
yes,
King book?
those who are Stephen King fans may already know this. There's now a sequel to The Shining
Oh, is that what it
called
is?
Doctor Sleep. Yes, yes.
All right.
I know a little bit about it. I don't obviously give the plot away, but it's based on it's the young boy that's in the first book of the film. He's now an adult and he's working. I know the story.
Oh right.
He's now working as a psychiatrist or psychotherapist.
And this is a new book.
Yeah, it's been out a little while, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she got a cat on the front of it.
Yeah, that's Doctor Sleep. The book's called the cat's called Doctor Sleep. If I remember rightly, it's a stray who comes into his life, but yeah, the cat's called Doctor Sleep. But yeah, if you're a Stephen King fan and particularly a fan of The Shining, it's definitely worth reading. I would imagine.
On a slightly off note, what was that horror film called where all the cats took over everything?
What do you mean the cats took home?
Only in Steveland.
I think it was a Hammer horror. Yeah, the
I can't think what it's called.
cats just took over everything. They attacked people and all sorts.
I can't remember.
I ain't got a clue.
Weren't the cat people? Was it?
They kind of took over the whole town.
I can't remember that one, to be honest with you. So I remember the program that was 3 different stories, and they were on about the cat taking the breath from the baby. Keep the cat away from the baby because it's breathing the.
I remember Tom and Jerry. That's any good.
And what it actually was this little weird gnome type thing, jester, horrible thing.
Yeah, and the cat was trying to protect the
And
baby.
the cat was trying to protect the baby.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
I think it's a Stephen King sort of
It
thing.
sounds like something I've seen before.
And it kills this little thing. And then when everything's finished, they let the cat lay with the child. And it goes onto the bed, onto the child, and
eats the child.
It starts breathing its breath in, which is what they were scared of.
Oh dear.
And then it just ended. So it's quite weird. But I can't remember. That was the last of the actual stories.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with animals, if you have an animal on your chest, even with Roxy, if you're breathing, you'll find that the animal will breathe the same as you do.
Oh yeah.
They change their breathing pattern to match yours.
Yeah, this is it. So, but talking about books, and if you remember, the other week we had Richard Thomas on, and if you remember rightly, he's a writer of non-fiction books, magazine articles, and newspaper columns. He has written articles for quite a few people in South Wales, at the Evening Post, Alien Worlds, UFO Matrix, Mindscape, Paranormal Magazine, and many others. He's actually written a book which coincides to what we were talking about. Have you ever wondered how ghosts work? He's put a link on our website, or rather on our Facebook page. Scientific theories of the paranormal. Just as UFOs have become synonymous with alien visits, similarity, it is often assumed that ghosts, if they are real, must be the spirit of the deceased. These are, however, several paranormal theories to explain ghosts that would be equally paradigm shatter into mainstream science if they could be scientifically verified and proven to be real. Now, this is an ebook that you can get on Amazon and eBay Gumbook, yeah, and it's got chapters in like crisis ghost mind parasites, stone tape theory, exactly what he was talking to us about, and the book is actually out now if you would be interested. You can find that on Amazon and just look under Richard Thomas, or go to his website, richardthomas.com. So that's that. That's the book sorted out.
Don't forget to stick that on Twitter.
I will not forget to tweet it on Twitter.
Twitter it.
Oh, Twitter it. Should do that in a bit. Now, before we go into tonight's conversation, just a reminder that next week it would be great if we can get 1 or 2 more people to come on the show to have a reading with Alison Winrider. She comes on and now and again to to offer readings for free. So if you want to, just let me know. You can contact me on at admin@ktpf.co.uk, or if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, or if you're part of the KTPF page, KTPF group, then you can let me know there. If you're interested to have a reading with Alison Winrider, and it will be done via Skype, which is a lot better because then she can hear you. If we try and do it via the phone, then she has trouble hearing you on different media.
Yeah, try to make the link. It makes it easier if you're on Skype. The Viscount actually said he wouldn't mind a reading.
Okay, so I'll get you down for that one next week.
Two so far.
We have 2 so far. So if not, me and Steve will have to fill in.
I believe I'm one of them as well. So,
yeah.
So
John wants another one.
John wants another one.
Oh, that's a shame.
So you're having one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. And the Viscount's
You're in
having
trouble
one.
when you get home.
So yeah, big trouble when you get up. So Ace Paradox. So this is good because it means that the regular ones can step back. So we've got Ace Paradox. Andy, you'll be able to do that on Skype, will you?
Yeah.
Andy and Paul.
Once it's after the bingo.
Paul Paradox.
After it's bingo.
Yeah. Well, make you last then.
Oh,
and the Viscount. So that should be the 4 then. That should be better. So, and John can have one next time. Give it a bit longer because it's not been too long since we've really had one, have we?
This is true.
So you can't have them too quick. So next time she comes on, you can have yours done.
Well, the last time I had a reading,
and if you ask nasty, you can have a tarot card reading at some point anyway.
Oh, he wants me to do one before he goes home anyway.
Well, the last time I had a reading of any kind that was given to me on Skype, it was very accurate. It was given by the young lady sitting beside me.
Really?
Yes, it was very good.
That's all right then. So that's good. But nice to know that it worked. I've never really done one on Skype before, so it was a good tester for me.
Absolutely.
So, right, back onto tonight. Now, as I said to you before, and if you've only just joined us, we're going to be talking to Andy here, 707, for those who don't know, Andy Mercer, about past life regression and hypnotherapy, exploring the myths. Now, where do you want to go first? Do you want to do the hypnotherapy bit first?
Yeah, we can certainly talk about that. I used to be, until very recently, qualified hypnotherapist, and although I've often said was most of the time I was a psychotherapist who uses hypnosis occasionally, because hypnotherapy itself is what's known as suggestion therapy, whereby you take your client into a state of hypnosis, relaxed, and then I say nice things to you and give you lots of positive encouragement and positive imagery, and you lie back and listen and don't do much else. When you get beyond that into what I practice as hypnoanalysis, it's quite a different thing. It involves exploration of memory, your own personal life, this life memory, if you like. Because I've certainly found in my work that most, if not virtually all, psychological difficulties are caused by early life experiences in childhood. And if you can work through those issues, let go of emotion that's attached to it, you can feel much better about yourself, and your life can improve, certainly.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of myths about hypnosis itself. First and foremost, hypnosis does absolutely nothing. Right. Not a thing. Hypnosis itself is just a form of relaxation.
So you are physically in control and mentally in control.
You are. As the person who's being hypnotized.
And is this what you've done to me over the weekend?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Now, just to let people know, it was mentioned last week that I have had low self-esteem. Excuse me. And Friday evening, Andy offered to help. And I must admit, I did know exactly what was going on all the way through. So when you hear these stories about people, in my opinion, being hypnotized and being raped, you are actually in control. Or I was. Anyway, as much as I was so relaxed and felt as though I couldn't move, to be honest with you, I really did feel as though I was so relaxed at my...
I would say more accurately is you couldn't be bothered to move.
Well, and it just really felt as though I was part of the bed sort of thing,
Well, certainly, as I explained also to you to begin with.
Yeah.
If, for example, you're sitting in your lounge, just relaxing, TV's on, and you're kind of a bit tired, close your eyes a bit. Someone walks in the room, you might sort of look and see who it is, and sort of carry on dozing. If you're in hypnosis, you probably wouldn't look to see who it was. But if they then kicked you in the leg, hypnosis or not, you'd wake up and say, "What was that all about?"
Yeah.
So you are just not bothered about what's going on around you, but if it's anything that's any kind of threat or danger, you'll be there, you'll wake straight away.
And you
we'll
said
deal with
I'd
it.
have a good night's sleep, and
Yeah.
I did, first time in a long time.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and I don't know what Viscount said, something like he proved it in court.
Well, there's been, we might be talking about what we talked about earlier on, there
Yeah.
have been attempts in the past for people to try and prove that hypnosis, which of course is the mistake, have made them do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Not one case has got to court. Each one has been thrown out before it's even got to court.
Yeah.
No one's ever been found guilty, because as soon as you get a professional psychiatrist in there who knows hypnosis is real, but knows it has no control over you,
Yeah.
then the thing falls apart. The case falls apart completely. It's all based around a series of books written in the beginning of the 1900s by I forget the guy's name, but the character was called Trilby, and you went to a place called Svengali for hypnosis to help her sing.
Yeah.
And the Svengali is a term we now use for people that try to control other people, because the idea was that he was using hypnosis to control her, to make her sing. He could only sing when he hypnotized her, giving the real strong impression that he was in control of her. And it's absolute raving nonsense. It really is. But unfortunately, that is where the myth began, that hypnosis, the hypnotist is controlling the hypnotized, which is totally rubbish.
Well, this is it. You know, you hear so many stories, don't you, of the negative side, and just letting everyone know what we're doing on Twitter. And basically, you know, you never know what's going on. People say that that you can't remember this, that, and the other, and you know, there's also those people who say, I can't be hypnotised. There's no way on this earth that you can hypnotise me. What do you say to them?
Well, unfortunately, there are only two kinds of people who cannot be hypnotised, and they are the mentally subnormal and the psychotic. There are lots of people who don't want to be hypnotised, and if you don't want to be, then nothing on this earth will hypnotise you. But it's a matter of choice. There's nobody who cannot be.
I'm in trouble tonight then.
Oh dear. There's no one who cannot be hypnotised. It's simply a case of they don't want to be hypnotised, so they will just not pay attention, just block it, just say, no, I'm not listening to you, because you have to listen to what I'm saying to you to help you to get down and relax. And if you're thinking about what you cook for dinner tonight, you ain't going to get hypnotised. Although, funnily enough, if you are thinking enough about what you're doing for dinner tonight, to the point that you're in the kitchen, imagining yourself doing the cooking, you're in hypnosis. Because, as I often used to explain to clients, hypnosis is a perfectly natural state. It's where your mind kind of just wanders off a bit and you're thinking about something else.
Yeah.
Well, as you say to people, you know, could you imagine you're driving home one day, or you're going out somewhere, and before you realise it, you've arrived at your destination without really thinking about it. Yeah. That's because you've been in hypnosis as you're driving. Your mind's on something else. Really? And similarly, you might like drive past and miss your turning. Yeah. And that's because you're in hypnosis. You're thinking about other things. Yeah. So the hypnosis...
So it's a bit like daydreaming, I
basically,
suppose.
Yeah. It's kind of directed daydreaming, but it's very, very effective in terms of dealing with belief systems and difficulties. It's been recently demonstrated, and I have tried to find the research online, although the guy that told me about it I trust fully, has shown that in Sweden a few years back, some research was done on brainwave activity in various states of awareness and unawareness, if you like, sleep. And there are parts of the brain that are only active in hypnosis. That no other state are they active. It's just in hypnosis. So it's a physical proof, if you like. There is something specific to hypnosis.
Yeah. The Viscount's saying there, the individual hypnotises themselves. The hypnotherapist only leads them through to hypnosis.
Absolutely true. The thing that's sort of told from the beginning when you first train is that there's no all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's you're allowing it to happen because you're listening to what I'm saying, but if you don't listen, it ain't going to work. So you are allowing yourself to become hypnotized, and it is self-hypnosis. You're listening to what I'm saying, and it's following that down. So absolutely, yeah, totally true. And it is part of that mythology that it's some kind of dark, sinister power. Apparently the Baptists believe it's devil work. Yeah. They actually believe that. And ironically, where I trained, there was a Baptist church across the road from us, which is quite funny. But yeah, so even today, some religious organisations have a very negative attitude towards hypnosis, thinking it's something strange. But as we were talking earlier, what do they think prayer is? Yes. When they're sitting praying, they're in hypnosis. They're focused on something specific, and that's what hypnosis is about.
So how did it all start? When did people start realising they could do this? Or
well, it's always been around. It's been around since we have made records of things. There's texts in ancient Egypt and Sumeria talking about hypnosis. They don't call it that. It's named after the Greek god of sleep, Hypnos. which is a name that came up relatively recently. But this kind of mental state is always things like talk about trances and that kind of stuff. That's just hypnosis. So it's always been around.
So,
it was named, must have James Braid, I think it was, who called it hypnosis, named after the Greek god hypnos, which means sleep. But as you know, you're not asleep.
No.
The better name is monopocusism, but that just sounds a bit naff.
Yeah.
So hypnosis as a name has kind of stuck, unfortunately.
It's kind of like what Hitler did at the big rallies.
They talk about
mass hypnosis.
Mass hypnosis. Yeah, you're starting to believe something that's not true because he was a master manipulator of information as well.
Yeah.
That there is a certain degree of ecstatic belief. That's similar to the kind of things you see in evangelist churches, where you've got the vicars sort of singing hallelujah and the choir is singing hallelujah and everyone's getting all worked up and excited. That was the same kind of thing. That's mass hysteria, and it is not a world away from hypnosis because you're then focused on one particular thing you're seeing happening to you or you're involved in. So there is similarities.
Yeah,
and it's not a very good anachronism, but considering we're talking about a profession here, but it's what good con men are good at.
There is an element to that as well, absolutely. They'll seduce you with their ideas. It's a similar kind of thing. You're buying into a belief, an idea that is, hopefully with hypnosis, is beneficial for you. But as I keep saying, this is hypnosis. Hypnotherapy is something quite different. Hypnotherapy is a therapy under hypnosis. But you don't have to use hypnosis.
And I nearly hypnotised a group of people myself.
Right now, Viscount, John here, he mentioned, is it a bit like meditating? But Viscount said, not really, but similar. So can you verify that?
It is very like a meditation. It is, again, that's that. Single focused point. You're thinking about something specific. With hypnosis and therapy, we're exploring the unconscious, but all meditators are in hypnosis. It's the same kind of brain of activity. And Anton Mesmer is the originator of modern hypnosis because he believed it was magnets that were causing these strange effects and strange changes. Benjamin Franklin, of all people, actually observed Anton Mesmer at work and said he's just talking to these people and they're getting better.
Yeah.
Because he was using hypnosis. But Mesmer thought it was magnets. The idea of the magnetic stare, it all comes from Anton Mesmer's diagnosis of his own work, basically. He thought his magnets were doing it. It was actually the hypnosis he was using and telling them. Because he was telling them positive things with the magnets waving around their heads. And they would focus on the magnets, focus on the magnet. And that was hypnosis, so yeah.
Now, Paul Ace Paradox says, what is it that Darren Brown does when he appears to convince people under his complete control? What is he actually doing?
It's quite different. Well, he's very good at manipulation of people. He says the right words, trigger words at the right time. He's using forms of what's called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is a way of making people, again, think a certain way. And it involves indirect, what's unfortunately called covert hypnosis, which sounds very dodgy, but it's indirect hypnosis where you're not actually telling that you're being hypnotized, but I'm using terminology to get you to think about certain things a certain way and creating trigger ideas, which you then make use of. So Darren Brown doesn't really use hypnosis at all. He's using, kind of mesmerism, because that's magnets, but it's that kind of, you're under my spell of belief of what I'm trying to get you to believe. But he's incredible at it. Personally, I can't stand the man because I think what he does is makes a sham of what is a real way of working. I
remember watching him one time, and he was just talking to people about what he was going to do, and every time he did it, he was putting things in, like saying page 24.
Yeah,
exactly. Because he wanted somebody to pick page 24, line, whatever, so because he already knew the answers beforehand.
That's exactly that.
So when he actually asked somebody about what page, he got the page he wanted.
That's exactly what he's doing.
So it's actually programming people beforehand.
Absolutely, yeah. It's NLP.
Because he says it enough times beforehand. Yeah. You say what number, and it's already there.
It's subliminal suggestion work. It's in the hypnosis and hypnotherapy and that sort of thing are very, very different.
Yeah. The Viscount said that Mesmer is hence term for mesmerise.
Yeah,
you know.
Anton Mesmer.
John's just mentioned there. Is it a bit like the TV ads because they work on a 7.5, don't they? To try and get it into your head.
Yep, absolutely. They will use all sorts of techniques they can find in order to manipulate you into believing certain things. Again, it's not really hypnosis. It's just. It's kind of mind control, which is a bit scary to say, but it is getting you to do a certain thing at a certain time or buy a certain product.
Yeah. Now, when you look back at the old films and what have you, and that, especially the 60s, you'll see somebody with a fob watch, follow the fob watch, and I'm going to hypnotise you. Or they'll turn around and say, watch this spiral spinning, and listen to my voice. Nowadays, you just get people sleep, and that sort of thing. What is it? The difference.
Okay. Well, first of all, I've just put a post about the history of hypnosis with Anton Mesmer talked about there.
Mm-hmm.
The first bit you're talking about, that's what swinging business is, again going back to Mesmer and his magnets.
Right.
But he's using it for something you to focus on. In the same way that you would focus on a candle in meditation, you might focus your eyes on the swinging watch. You can focus on a point on the ceiling, for example, or something along those lines. I've always used just close your eyes and listen to what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
But when you see on TV, they click the fingers and they're out. Most of the time, they've been programmed to do that. In a sense that
programmed.
But very deliberately being told, well, we're going to hypnosis. I'm going to take you to hypnosis, and I'm going to put this trigger into you that when I click my fingers, you'll go into hypnosis again.
Yeah.
That's all that is. And if the person is willing to go along with that, then it'll work. If they're not, they won't.
Because then you see people put their hand on their shoulder, sleep.
Absolutely, that's all set up in advance. It's not like these people just come randomly out of the audience and have been suddenly they have this power over them. They would have been picked by the hypnotist, the stage hypnotist, to be part of the show because they show the right traits. They are what we in my part of the profession called a nomad personality. They are the showman. They like to be centre of attention. The sort of person who does silly things without any real prompting from maybe just their mates down the pub that do something daft.
Yeah.
The hypnosis makes it easy for them to do that, but there's no magic power in it at all. It's not. It's all with their agreement.
I see.
Yeah, it's that subliminal messages that Viscount said it was made against the law. Because I remember back in the 50s, they would put every other frame, they'd put a picture of a hot dog or something in to make you buy it later.
Yeah.
Although the fact is, there's no evidence to suggest that subliminal imagery actually works, but it just seems sinister. I mean, there's a very classic case of being put into The Exorcist, where you got the black and white face flash up for a fraction of a second several times in the first half of the film that is there when you slow them down, but it's now been removed from the DVD version, even though it actually has no effect on anybody. It was actually there.
Yeah.
But yes, I just want to mention that Viscount's mentioned David Ellman. Yes, he was a very good guy. I read his books when I was training. He's very good.
So that's the sort of thing and going back to these people in the papers that said somebody hypnotised me or whatever, or then that is actually wrong. That's not what they're doing, or is it down to the people?
Oh no, they're being hypnotised. Not two ways about it, but they know what they're doing.
Right.
I've been to these kind of shows, and the guy was sort of saying, we don't know what was happening to you, and oh no, I've no idea. And there's like a gleam in their eye or a little sneer. Of course they know. I know full well what's going on.
Yeah. Ghostwriter said, do you think mediums do the same thing as people will associate something they are saying?
Undoubtedly,
Yes.
John. They are those that are less than honest, shall we say, will use those kind of techniques. As I know, well, this is a bit of a story, but I will tell you it. I did a very large ghost event many years ago at Alton Towers, and there was a celebrity quotation marks medium. I'd never heard of him before, but he came onto the event, and he had this big audience following around, and he just seemed to be very good. He was communicating with the ghosts of the building and was getting the people involved. And the guy who was with me said, he's trained as a psychiatrist as well. And he's trained as NLP as well. And I was like, yes. So he knew how to manipulate people to get them to believe certain things. He was using all those tricks. And let's face it, if you're paying money to go along to a ghost event, you want to see something.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to be more persuaded you're going to experience something. And this guy was just playing on all those ideas, those beliefs already in place. So yeah, absolutely.
So you would agree with the fact that Viscount says there that stage hypnosis and clinical are very, very,
very different.
things.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
One's just a piece of fun, and the other one's a serious job.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, what do you think about these self-help, or rather self-help? Is it that exactly that when you say, for instance, me, I thought, well, I want to give up smoking, or I want to lose weight, and they go to a hypnosis, what's actually happening there?
Well, compared to self-help recording, sorry, I'm not fast enough. I couldn't possibly disturb John for a moment. On the table in the other room is a can of Coke, which I started earlier, because I'm drying up rapidly. If you wouldn't mind, cheers. The problem is with self-help stuff can work, but it's mass-marketed. It's not specifically designed for anybody. As you have experienced yourself, when you work the way I work, you have to be one-to-one with the real person. In order to actually be able to talk about what they're experiencing, particularly with hypnoanalysis, which is a two-way process. You've got to be there for me to be able to change what I'm asking you, depending on what you're saying to me. But positive, powerful affirmations can be used in self-help recordings, no problem at all. They can work, but certainly in my experience, if you can tailor it to the individual need and problem, then it works far better. People quit smoking is one you can do with recordings like that because you can use a standard program. But for example, weight loss, people's reason for wanting to lose weight or put weight on in the first place are always going to be different. Absolutely. I mean, when I very first started out, I had two women used to come on the same day who both had problems with driving. Now I could create some kind of script for what we call script is the thing that we read to you to improve their driving. But when I talked to them about their problems, the reasons, the things that was the problem for them were very different, and the causes were very different. So if I'd have created a generic self-hypnosis disc for improving your driving, it would have might have worked for one of them, but wouldn't work for both because it was a completely different problem. So they can work. I won't deny that they work, because I know old Mr. McKenna makes a fortune out of them, but they are no substitute for real therapy. It's a bit difference between, I don't know, looking at photographs of Mallorca and going to Mallorca on holiday. Thank you, John. There's quite a difference.
Thank you. Just had a refreshment trip.
The Viscount said...
it's very warm in here.
Yes, John, get your shiny head in the other room and get some coke.
He actually says it's a shiny head show tonight, really, but not me. I've got hair.
That's charming.
So what is it when you're doing all this tapping off?
Yeah, this
that's
is
quite
different, isn't it?
That is emotional freedom technique, EFT.
EFT,
Yes. Now, funny enough, it goes back a little bit to what we were talking about.
I want a sandwich. No, I don't.
Absolutely. You're not far off, actually, what you're doing there. Yeah. There are various lots of different points you have to tap, but it goes back to the Reiki we were talking about earlier with the devil worshipping Reikeists.
Right.
They are dealing with the same kind of idea of energy meridians around the body, energy fields that the ELP, yes, a bad. EFT's idea is that by tapping these certain points, you're actually releasing the trapped energy in the body, and when that energy is flowing better, you feel better. That's basically the idea behind it. Now, again, I did train in it, and for me, it wasn't my kind of thing. I'm very clinically based, and to me, it was a little bit too airy-fairy for me. I mean, I know there are practitioners out there who are very good at it, but I also know that the chap who was my supervisor when I first trained, he had some for a minor issue, and it got worse. So you thought, no, I won't do that again. So, but that's really sorry, the dangers of drinking Coke. It comes from a thing called TFT, which is a thought field therapy.
Right.
It's a bit of a mouthful to try and say that.
Yeah.
The guy that invented that kept it all very secret and very hidden, exactly how it worked, and came up with what we call these algorithms of routines of different kinds of tackle with different kinds of problems. One guy, whose name I've forgotten, I must admit. What's his name? Anyway, he trained with this guy and then thought, well, this is silly because why is it so ultra secretive and you have to pay like something like $10,000 for the treatment? It was like a rip-off. And he said, no, I'm not having this. Gary Craig, that was his name. He died recently. He invented EFT, which uses all the same tapping points as TFT does.
Yeah.
Whereas TFT has specific points for specific problems, EFT uses all of them. There's about a dozen or so. So you use the same routine, but you have different wording. And there is an element of hypnosis in it because you are repeating the same phrase in your head as you're tapping. So again, it's a trance-like state you're generating. So that's what that one is.
It's also something that Devon Brown does on some of his videos.
Interesting.
He does for dieting and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the EFT for things like dieting can be effective because you create a mental routine in the head, which as long as you keep following the routine, a bit like CBT we talked about before, which is cognitive behavior therapy. Again, if you keep that routine going, then you will continue to do whatever you need to do, like you lose weight or whatever. But you have to keep the routine going. As soon as you stop, it all falls apart. Because these things can't address the root cause.
No.
Whereas I used to work with analysis to address the root cause of any problems and try to work at that level to make the fix, if you like, or change or improvement permanent.
And what's this rewiring you've been going on about?
Well, it gets into the sign of the psychology of it, or the neurology, I should say, of it. The human brain is made up of billions and billions of connections, neural pathways and synaptic connections. And what can happen is we can basically rewire those parts of the brain by just changing our thought processes. You change the thought process, you change the pathway, you change the pathway and keep repeating that positive thought process, that pathway becomes cemented in place. It's how we learn things as children. That's why they get fixed into our heads very early on, because they form the neural pathway in the first place.
Yeah.
And they can stay in place and unchallenged. They'll stay as they are. And most of the things we learn as kids are perfectly fine. We learn to ride, we learn to walk, we learn to ride bikes, but we can learn that we're worthless because we get told that as young children, and that becomes hardwired in. And what we do as any kind of therapy ultimately is to try and break down that connection and rewire thoughts. It's funny you mention that, because certainly people like have stroke victims, their brains rewire themselves. So they're able to once again do something that they couldn't do because part of the brain got damaged, but it gets fixed because it rewires itself.
Yeah.
This has been demonstrated many times that that's what happens in the human brain.
Yeah, Viscount says you're not born afraid of Reddits. You're made afraid by others. It's alright, I can't say that.
Spiders.
Shut up!
Okay,
I am actually afraid of spiders.
She's an
It'll
arachnophobic.
either be.
I'm arachnophobe. I know what it is.
Did you see someone else get spooked by a spider when you were
No,
a kid, or
I
you
didn't
encountered
remember.
it?
I didn't remember why I was what's named by spiders. But I saw my cousin a couple of months ago, and we were talking.
Yeah, he's an arachnophobe as well.
And he's an arachnophobe. And he was saying to me, I know exactly what the problem is. It was my father that did it. And I said to him, why? What did he do? He said, well, you know the things on top of the tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
He'd go, ooh, catch that. And I remember that I actually stayed with them a while when my nan was in hospital for a cancer. And I actually remember him doing the same to me.
Yeah,
so I think that's where it all comes from.
And they do look like
they do.
Oh yeah.
I actually left one on the work surface by. I didn't think about it. It was left there.
Yeah.
And she walked out there and screamed and then called me all the names under the sun.
Yeah, thinking he'd done it on purpose.
When she realised it wasn't the real thing.
In my experience of working with people who are arachnophobic, it is caused by one of two things. Either they've seen somebody else as a child react, like mum, dad, usually mum or grandparent, or they've had an experience with a spider or spider-like creature very early on in their life. In one case, she woke up, she's about 2 years old, woke up and there's a spider sitting there. Probably only about that big, but it was right next to her face, and the girl literally fell out of bed the other side from shock.
I would have froze.
Yeah, but interesting enough, I did several sessions with her and cleared it out as far as we could tell. And she came for a final session. It was like a final finisher off session.
Yeah.
And she said, "You won't believe what happened during the week. It's her grandson." So she became this thing for God knows how many years. It's his birthday, and they're flicking through the Argos catalogue in the kids' toy section. And flicking through. And her husband said, "Stop! Did you know what you just did there?" She said, "No." Turned back. There's a robot spider. A picture of one, quite a big one. And she said before that would have been across the room, that catalogue straight away, and she didn't even noticed it. So that showed it was cleared out, freed of it.
Right, we'll get off that subject now. So I'll be having nightmares of things all over me.
To give you an idea of without mentioning it, how bad she. At one time, we was in the caravan staying, and she spotted one, and I had to physically prise her fingers off the door, and she actually left a mark in the door. She was gripping it that hard.
Yeah.
What do you think it'll do to you?
I know they bite. And if you say they don't, I know they do.
Not in this country, they don't.
They do. They do.
Unfortunately,
they do bite.
British house spiders do bite.
Well, make it worse for you.
I know that because Alan Titchmarsh said.
And what do you think that will do to you?
Nothing. I just don't like the way they scurry and they're just horrible, and
it's the most common fear of a small animal is a spider, and I think it's the otherworldliness look of them because they often tend to be bigger than obviously
and the boogies,
other insects.
They're just boogies,
not
and
they're
not into
insects,
boogie stuff.
That and the speed they move.
Yeah, but I think it's the alienness of them that people find disconcerting.
See, I listen to.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to stand up. I'm back to a minute.
I sit and talk to guests and I show friends of ours about cryptozoology, and I think, I'd love to go out there and try and find a rampendek or whatever, you know what I mean, and the next hidden animal, But there's only one problem. They go out there and they're in this jungle and they're sleeping rough.
To be in Borneo, not Bournemouth.
Oh my God, and I can't do it. And they say, right, well, I was sleeping and one night I woke up and there was this bloody great big spider near me, or there was something near him. I thought, no, that's just turned me right off.
Got a question from Viking. Wants to Skype us.
Does he?
Always sounds painful when someone Skype you.
May I briefly Skype you about a spirit? Yes, you may. Let me just turn this up. If you would like to ring in. I will answer you.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Subliminal voice, do it now.
We'll just wait for the Viscount to give us a call. So, needs him to be online, because it says he's not online at the moment. And, but yeah, it's, he's just coming on now. So.
But basically, all phobias are formed early in life.
Are they?
It can be sorted out.
Good evening, Steve.
Good evening.
How are you? Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Wonderful. I just wanted to, we're talking about hypnosis, I just want to very briefly tell you an experience that I had, and I think Annie may be interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
I had a client who was very, very, very easy hypnotized, in the sense that you become conditioned in the sense.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what makes sense to you, probably only understand what I'm talking about. She become very conditioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I took her to the Esdale state. I won't get into all this. I'm sure Annie can elaborate and we get a deep bit further. But I took her to a thing called the Esdale state, and obviously done a few things. And as I was bringing out slowly, I thought some people said, "Oh, try this one experiment," because I always had a big thing about ghosts and hypnosis and all that sort of stuff. As Andy's pointed out, it's very easy to manipulate certain situations to be something that they're really not. And I don't do that, but I do know it is possible. Anyway, I had this girl, as I said, she's preconditioned, and as I was bringing her to the LC state, I tried another experiment, and I got a deck of cards. And I was standing 3 feet in front of this lady with a deck of cards, and what I'd done was, I said, I want you in a second now, I want you to imagine that you're leaving your body, and you're going to stand behind me, and I'm going to hold a card up in front, and I want you to say what the card is. Now, people were looking, there was 5 or 6 people there. Dr. Raymond Roberts, the gentleman I trained with, clinical hypnotherapist, he was actually there along with his wife, and they were sort of like, wow, you're not going to pull this off. And I said, watch this. And I said, okay, I held the first card up and said, I want you to imagine come off the chair, stand behind me, what card? And she said, as an example, the 3 of spades. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, it was the 3 of spades.
Excellent.
I then held the card up again and said, oh, the 7 of diamonds. Sure enough, it was the 7 of diamonds. On the third attempt, she struggled then, although she was and not making much sense. So the experiment sort of stopped. But I wonder what your view and opinion on that is. That's like astral projection or some form of astral projection.
Sure.
And do you think that if I had a Keppard, I know the Elsdale state is very difficult to speak and all that. I'm very much aware of that.
You don't want it, basically.
Bringing them out from the Esdale state into a mid-hypnosis, I suppose. Is it possible that our bodies can actually, or our minds in some form, can actually astral project in a physical sense? That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It's more of a physical thing than an actual mental, because of the hypnosis. You're still very much aware of what's going on. You're very much surrounded who's around you. So,
well, to me, what I would say with the explanation would be she was reading it from your mind because you were seeing the cards. Because that's something I've certainly experienced over the years when I was working as a therapist, is that I know what they're about to say to me. And there's no indication of what they're about to say is going to be the next thing they say. And it's like, I know straight away they're going to say it. I mean, you can say I'm reading sort of micro gestures, but they're in hypnosis, they're not moving. But I think there's certainly a real evidence that at some point us hypnotherapists, do form a psychic link with some of our clients. And I would say probably more likely she was reading from your mind, because you had the thought you could see what the card was, you knew what it was, and her mind was linking with yours in that state, because all the fully conscious noise and nonsense we all have when we're normally wide awake is out of the way. So there's much dark, deeper, subtler vibrations, if you like, communications, if you like. They are more connected, and they're able to pick those things up. That's what I would say about that.
So would you actually say then, sorry for interrupting you there,
right.
Would you actually say then that hypnosis used in that environment, so we say a ghost environment, and we would induce someone into a hypnotic state and took them not to the Esdale state, but just, let's just say we say 10 levels, let's say level number 8.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for that individual then to communicate with the fabric of the building, or an energy or spirit within that building?
Well, I would say not only is that entirely possible, we've actually done it. I did that with John Blackburn. We went to the witch cage, St. Eustace in Essex, took him into hypnosis with the painting, about his painting he has with him, and it tuned into that painting. He got the similar kind of information he got previously from the painting, but this time it was far more detailed, a connection to World War II and prison camps. So yeah, not only do I think it's possible, I've seen it happen. that you get a much deeper communication with whatever's around you, because that's the hypnosis where the full consciousness is kind of switching off and not full of the usual noisy junk that gets in the way. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that was my question. I was just interested because my theories, because I don't hang around with a lot of hypnotherapists. It's not like your builders. There's not many people.
It's a lonely profession.
Sometimes it's very hard to express views and opinions with like-minded people.
Yeah, you call it a lonely profession because you don't. The trouble is, if you've got local fellow hypnotherapists, they're kind of like your rivals because they're after the same client base as you are, so you don't necessarily sort of hang out with them very much. I'll tell you one more little experience I used to get quite often, and one guy in particular used to do this all the time. Whenever using analysis, whenever he got to a particularly uncomfortable memory, my ceiling would crack really loudly, as if a sudden psychic burst of energy was coming out of him. He wasn't by no means the only person who did it, but with him it was every time. Anything uncomfortable, any negative memory, and the ceiling cracked quite loud.
Wow.
So it was quite impressive.
Is that a physical crack or just a noise?
It was a noise.
So it didn't physically crack?
No. There was no crack actually.
It's just the noise of it.
But you heard the sound. But I know also, I'm very much a big fan of Carl Jung, which I've mentioned many times before, which I may well know of. He did some experiments with Freud, talking about this fact that sometimes there are physical or sound phenomena with strong emotional releases. And it used to happen actually in Jung's house, because obviously he used to work with his clients in his own house. And so there was one particular client he had who this would happen repeatedly after they'd gone. And he said it used to come in threes. And he'd sitting talking to Freud in their lounge, and then there was a crack came from a cabinet. And he said, "There's the first one. Give it a minute. There's the second one. Give it another minute. There's the third one. The one after the other."
And then it stopped.
Yeah, it stopped. And Freud, who was very clinical, didn't believe any of this kind of stuff. Well, just coincidence. No, it happens regularly in threes. So there you go.
There seems to be what's the word for it? A universal thing that brings things in threes.
Yes.
I mean, even getting news of people dying and that, you tend to get it in threes. Yeah. And I mean, admittedly, it's not always the case because obviously you don't hear about them all. But in a lot of times you hear stuff in threes.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, is he gone?
Yeah, he just signed off, I think.
Sorry, Viscount. Yeah. Nice speaking to you anyway.
Thank you, Viscount, for that.
I never realised until now he was a hypnotherapist.
Did it? No, I didn't really.
He's mentioned a few bits before, maybe wonder perhaps he is, but yeah, clearly he is.
Yeah, so...
I mean, as you know, as guys here know, I've given up to become a teacher. And that's not because I had problems with the profession, I got a bit bored. And a lot of the problems I was getting were very, very similar. As you probably know yourself, it can get a bit dull with the same kind of problems over and over again. Plus, as you know as well as I do, I didn't have any kind of pension scheme. I had no health cover, nothing like that. So in your 30s, it's fine. But when you get into your 40s and you've got no pension, I'm thinking, I need to do something about this. So, because at the moment, at that point, my wife has got quite a good job, so it was going to be relying entirely on her money when we got older.
Viscount just said, sorry, he got cut off.
All right, okay.
We'll let you.
So,
but I hope we answered your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, certainly I would say without a shadow of a doubt I have experienced psychic phenomena when working with clients more times than I can remember. The idea of, as you know yourself, if you're in hypnosis, you're quite still, you're not really moving around at all. So there's no micro body movements for me to pick up on to know that something's going to happen or hasn't happened. And yet I can know what you're going to tell me next. And it's quite spooky. I've been asked more than one occasion by clients after the hypnosis saying, how did you know what I was going to say? I'll be honest with you, I don't know. It just felt like that's what you were going to say. And so I'm convinced there is some kind of psychic link can build with some clients. Not all, definitely not all, but certainly some clients. There's a link that grows quite strong, quite quickly.
Yeah, you also tend to get that link through maternal instincts and soulmates.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
twins especially.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen so often now. But when me and Sue first got together, probably the first 5 years, we could finish each other's sentences up there easy.
Yeah.
We just knew what was coming.
The other side of the hypnosis stuff, of course, is what might often get forgotten is very often the therapist is in hypnosis as well. And they're working that closely focused with one person we're in kind of hypnosis as well, because we're focusing on what they're saying to us. We're taking all that in. Okay, there is a 2-level effect going on, because obviously under the surface we're thinking through very quickly what they're talking about. But that's still hypnosis, because we're focused on what's going on. I've always got a bit like swans when we're working. It's all calm and serene on the surface, but underneath we're like thinking away really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're in a form of hypnosis ourselves as therapists.
Is it a bit like healers, I suppose, in a way, when they take on, because I've seen films, there's one film that I really do like, but where she was making these people better, but she took on their illness for a couple of minutes then got rid of it, expelled it. So is it similar to that? You're taking on their problems for a few minutes and then get rid of them?
Well, funnily enough, one of the things we have to do as therapists is be trained not to do that.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get caught up in someone else's problems.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've heard all sorts of horror stories over the years, which obviously I can't repeat, but the sort of things that would reduce people to tears, but obviously I can't have any reaction to them. You are trained, you go through analysis yourself to make sure you don't react to these things. So in that respect, you wouldn't do that, because you'd end up burning out, because if you take on that kind of emotional difficulty, it will do you in. You know, I mean, I know of colleagues who have given up the profession because they burnt out. I know one person in my hometown who should have given up years ago. She's very burnt out, but it's her living; she can't stop. She's doing her clients and herself no good whatsoever. But,
Right. Well, we're going to give you a break.
Yeah. And John just said a bit like the Green Mile.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
The one I was on about was Resurrection.
Oh, right.
But we're going to take a bit of a break, guys, and we're going to come back in a bit and do the paranormal events for you. And then we're going to talk about past life regression.
The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Yeah, well, okay, don't forget we have them ghost walks that are happening up and around the country. The first one is Blackpool Ghost Walks, starting now until the 26th of October. There is also one prepared for Halloween as well. Join Haunted Blackpool author and founder of Supernatural Events, Stephen Mercer, on the Blackpool Ghost Walks this summer if you're up there holidaying, and he will take you through some of the Blackpool's most famous and of course most haunted locations. You can find out all about this and others at www.blackpoolghostwalks.co.uk. Then, if you would like to go to the Medway Towns down there in Kent, Neil Arnold is conducting 2 ghost walks within the area. You've got the the Bluebell Hill Ghost, where facts are far stranger than fiction. The legendary Bluebell Hill village and everything. You'll find out about all the passing motorists and stuff like that, and other things that are there as well, like prowling cats and mysterious stones. You can find out about this, and also his other walk, which is Haunted Rochester. He's dealing with that one as well, which is on every last Sunday of the month. And if you want to join on any of these, your best bet is to contact him at neil.arnold@live.com or phone 07851 602 853, and you can also sort out if you want to do a private walk with him as well. Down further south, we've got the Ghost Walks of the Lanes. The Lanes is in Brighton, and it's in its most celebrated quarter, and you can find the actor and master storyteller Rob Marks, who is the eccentric Silas the Ghost Walker, along with his 2 friends Jasper and Ebenezer, for a 70-minute walk around Brighton's famous lanes, visiting 8 haunted sites. For information on prices, etc., go to www.ghostwalksbrighton.co.uk. Now, on the 23rd of August, the Skirrid Inn, as seen on Most Haunted, this location has everything you need for a fantastic paranormal night. Now, there's glasses that obviously fly off the bar, and amongst other things, and you can find out more about this and also the 2 of course fish and chip supper that comes with it at personalparanormal.co.uk. On the 25th of August, Club Zero Paranormal meeting from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock at the Lady Bridge Club, Midway Road, Cheadle, Stockport. You can join Club Zero for an evening of paranormal intrigue, find out about booking investigations. You can also get tarot readings from Suzanne Lilly and see the occasional guest speakers. You can find out more about this at www.clubzero.co.uk. On the 30th of August, we're going up to Scotland now, in South Lanarkshire. Lanarkshire Paranormal is returning to this amazing place to raise money for the building. It's the David Livingstone Centre in Blantyre. You can find a lot more about this place, the birthplace of David Livingstone, which is now a museum, which has spirits that is said to be roaming the walls. To book a ticket for this event, visit lanarkshireparanormal.co.uk. Now, on the 30th and 31st of August, Jules Stone Events presents Matlock Bath Mind, Body and Spirit Weekends at the Grand Pavilion in Matlock Bath. Reiki healing, bamboo massage, mediums, tarot card readings, arts and craft, pagan gothic gifts, wear and jewellery, and lots more. It's on from 10 o'clock till 5 p.m. and you can find out more about this by emailing joshstone45@yahoo.co.uk or contact her on 07854 725 846 and also find out about booking stalls at other events. Do you fancy an evening of mediumship? There's 3 of the best mediums in the UK running around the country. You've got Derek Acora, 2014 Enlightenment Tour. Find out where he's appearing near you on www.derekacora.com. Or you can see the clairvoyant and medium from London and best known as the Living TV Street Psychic, Tony Stockwell, live on tour. For more information, visit Tony's website at www.tonystockwell.com and click events. And finally, Colin Fry's Voices from Heaven Tour 2014. Join Living TV's psychic medium Colin Fry for an evening of clairvoyance. He continues his countrywide tour of the UK. For more information, visit www.colinfry.co.uk. Please remember that Paranormal Events for You supports quality events, and if at any time a company attracts negative press through their own actions and fail to immediately deal with the situation in favour of the greater mass, i.e. the public, then ParanormalEventsForYou.com reserves the right to remove any mention of that company from their publications. So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events, available now. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Yeah, sorry about that if you just heard Andy speaking over me.
Sorry.
Also coming up is this.
The UK's first ever annual Paracon, November the 22nd and 23rd. This is guaranteed to excite all levels within the paranormal community. This event will showcase some of the world's best paranormal personalities, covering all paranormal genres, including the ultimate paranormal roundtable. There will be stalls, prizes, a charity auction, as well as a VIP party, plus much more. Paracon UK's campaign is to unite to honour. Proceeds from this event will go to support the Wounded Warrior Project and Troop Aid. Don't miss out. Visit www.paraconuk.com for details. Again, that's www.paraconuk.com. www.paraconuk.com.
Right, okay, so we're back here with Steve's back, and
I'm back.
also Andy707 for you regular chatters, otherwise known as Andy Mercer, all the way from Essex. He's travelled all the way up here to be with us live in the hub. Spent the weekend with us. Yeah, spent the weekend with us. So maybe if you want to be live on the show, and if you want to come up, why don't you come up?
Let me say, Steve's a very good cook. Steve.
I can cook.
I didn't say you couldn't. Just he's been cooking for us. He's very good.
So
I've even eaten black pudding. Woo! Which is new to me, I have to say.
I don't know.
I was sick later on, but that's another story.
That was the McDonald's.
Yeah. At 4 in the morning.
Yeah, a lot later. A lot
on the way
later.
back.
That'd be a good idea.
Right, okay, so we've spoken about hypnotherapy. Now we're going to talk about past life regression.
Yeah.
What is past life regression?
Pile of pants.
Pile of pants. There you go, it's a pile of pants.
End of the show. Good night, everybody.
End of
Thank
the
you for
show.
coming. No, it's a difficult one because there is lots of different opinions on it.
Okay.
Some would say that it is simply you were born before you've lived a previous life, and if you tap into your depth of your unconscious, you'll find your previous life you've lived before.
Okay.
And at the other end of the scale is there are those that say it's just purely imagination, someone's overactive imagination, and can imagine themselves being all sorts of things from the past. That's the extreme ends of this of past life regression. Personally, my belief is somewhere between the two. Now I'll try and explain this. I've talked previously about Carl Jung, Jungian psychology. He was the proponent of the theory of the collective unconscious, which is a concept where all human minds, all minds in fact, are linked together at the deepest level. We have a thing called archetypal imagery, which emerges from the deep unconscious. When we talked before about the old hag syndrome with sleep paralysis, those are the kind of images that come up. That I think that the deepest layer of the unconscious, so there is a kind of storehouse of knowledge and memories of the past.
Yeah.
And then in certain circumstances, under the right conditions, you can tap into that storehouse. But you tend to view it through the eyes of people who've had these experiences. So it seems to you as if they're your experiences, but they are somebody's experience of the ancient past that's somehow encoded within our consciousness. Now, one of the theories, again, is that it's to do with the way the human brain works, that we inherit not just the genetic genes of blonde hair or brown hair or blue eyes or green eyes, but we inherit certain brain patterns, if you like, that those can be contain memory information from older generations, not just like your grandparents, but centuries back, that there are encoded in our brain patterns different memories of events and knowledge of what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to act to certain things.
Is there any downsides to this? Not side. Is there any kind of side effect, for want of a better word, that you can get from it?
Not really, no. One of the things I've encountered on more than one occasion when I stopped doing past life regressions as a therapist a long time ago, but one of the few times I did them early on, one of the reasons why I stopped was I encountered very real problems of now. That the person who came for a past life regression for a bit of fun, spending 30 quid or whatever on the regression, suddenly were bumping into memories of childhood being abused and that kind of thing, which is not really what they'd come for. Because you can't control necessarily what comes out.
Yeah.
Because whatever's in the unconscious will come out by itself. And the fact is, with hypnosis, because you are relaxed, you tend to talk about those things anyway.
Right.
But there are very good cases where, for example, the guy that trained me told me of a particular case he worked with a young lad who spontaneously, he was having certain difficulties, but he spontaneously went into this past life regression of being in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
Living in a village in ancient Greece, and there was a war happening, and the army general came to stay in their village. Now, back in days of ancient Greece, the idea of homosexual sex with teenage boys was perfectly normal. There was nothing wrong, it was just what was done. There was an old saying about it was boys for recreation, women for procreation, and goats for relief. Basically, yeah, absolutely. It's ancient Greece, not modern Greece. It's ancient Greece. But he was presented in his past life memory to the general to spend the night with him, which was seen by his family and the village as a great honour. Now, my guy at training was a bit sceptical of this. I mean, he's not saying he didn't believe in past life regression, but he was sceptical of this particular lad. And as he did more subsequent sessions, it became clear he was abused by his uncle.
Right.
And the way his subconscious had dealt with the experiences was to turn it into this past life memory that wasn't real.
Right.
By the same token, there are cases where people have seen stuff in a so-called past life regression that are unknown at the time, but later proved to be true. There was another case, the guy, not the guy that trained before, someone he had trained, had this happen with him.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, it was in South Wales at a a Roman site. They'd been doing some digging, and this guy had memories. This is fragmented, I must admit, but he had memories of being in this area, of being in this building at this Roman site, and there was mosaic on the floor.
Yeah.
A little while later, a couple of months later, when they were doing the dig at the site, which was near where he lived, they found the mosaic on the floor, which had not been since his Roman time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could say, well, if there's going to be a Roman building, there might be a mosaic on the floor. But this guy was very adamant it was the mosaic he'd seen when he saw it in the newspaper, and it shocked him.
Okay.
So there are those examples as well.
Yeah.
When you say about tapping into other people's things and maybe transferring brainwaves and stuff, could that affect the way you act? I.e., if you tap in, if there's a brainwave of, say, a serial killer, could that impact on your present? Not so much on what you're doing on regression, but
their past life as well.
Yeah, but if that brainwave's there,
Well, I mean, we're talking about fragmentary memory that you're connecting into. Either that it is actually stored in your own brain, or that it is this collective unconscious level. The collective unconscious exists. I mean, there's no doubt about it. In my mind, and a lot of Jungian trained therapists will tell you the same. It exists. When they moved by itself, that's funny. It exists. Whether there is such detailed memory, or what Jung would say was, it's like a blueprint of how the brain works. This is all that's preserved in the collective unconscious. This is taking it a stage further. Then the fragments of memory exist. But I would emphasize they're not your memories. They are memories of someone of the past that you're linking into. But like walking into a library, picking up a biography of somebody and starting reading it. That's what's happening. Whereas you think, because you're reading the biography, it's your life. And I would say that the past life you get is not your past life, it's a past life. So, I mean, there are cases of people who thought they've had past regression, been Jack the Ripper or Napoleon Bonaparte, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you do tend to get a lot of people who end up being Cleopatra for
they
some reason.
Someone famous, yes, and often disappointed. But I would say every time I've done it, no one's ever come out to be famous. I've had people who've come out to be time frames that wouldn't interest them. I had one lad I worked with, just for fun, when I worked at St Paul's Cathedral. He had a degree in history, but his period was the 20th century, World War II. He regressed him. He was in medieval times, much to his own surprise, because he thought he'd be looking at reasons why he was into World War II stuff. Instead, he found himself talking about a medieval period of time.
Now, going back to the hypnotherapy on it.
Yeah.
If, for instance, like you're going through a hypnotherapist session. All right. All right. And we came to a situation like you just mentioned. Is it possible for the person being hypnotized or being past life regressed to say, I don't want to go there?
Yeah,
And stop that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay.
If it's in a past life regression, I would be the first to get in and stop me going down the road that looks uncomfortable.
Right, okay.
If it's to do with analysis, well, then no. We need to go down there. In fact, your resistance means we need to go down.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it depends what they've come for. If they've not come for deep analysis, then I'm not going to do that. It's one of the reasons why I stopped doing past life. One, I was dubious about what it really was myself, and secondly, because it was interfering with clinical work.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trained to be as a clinical therapist.
Okay.
But again, it's the other problem, which I think Vikel has also mentioned already, is you are in a highly suggestible state in hypnosis. So if you get a poorly trained or misguided hypnotherapist who's into past life and energy magic and all sorts of stuff, they can take you down completely the wrong path and let you believe that that's what's happening.
Again, why do people do this? Why do people want to be past life regressed? Is it because they want to be clear about it?
Well, I think people like the idea of having been around before. I like the idea of having more than one life. I think it taps into a deep desire within us to believe there is more to life than just this lump of flesh that we are now.
Reincarnation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously the two are
instrumental.
No, that's not the word. What's the word? I can't say that word. Totally tied together is the word. Inextricably
Right.
Inextricably linked.
Yeah.
Yes, the two go hand in hand.
Right. Okay.
See, this is often the problem with Western belief systems and the idea of past lives and reincarnation, because in Christianity, there's no such thing. We live once and only once.
Right.
We had that conversation, I remember some time back with somebody written it was in every religion. Absolute
Yeah.
nonsense. It's certainly not in Islam at all.
Right.
One life and only one life. So how can we be like a Christian spiritualist, for example, believe in reincarnation and past lives if they're a Christian? Because it doesn't work for Christianity.
Yeah, it tends to be the Indian religions that have that reincarnation belief.
It's not even questioned. You know, all forms of Hinduism, which I'm a Hindu, in almost all forms of Buddhism, there is one that doesn't believe in it, but in virtually all of them, it's not even questioned. The reincarnation is as real as life is now. It's absolutely.
Well, as a Hindu, would you believe it's a choice to come back, or it just happens?
In my particular branch, we believe in the Atman spirit, which is the pure essence of the self.
You're not quite coming through there.
Oh, hello. In my particular branch, we believe in the Atman spirit, which is the pure potential of self. It's like a spark of life.
Mm-hmm.
So it in itself can't have identity because it is beyond identity. It's just that's the spark of life. That's what gets reincarnated into each person individually. So there's no possibility of a direct memory. But in some areas of Buddhism, for example, then they believe there's direct reincarnation. Like you often see the Tibetan Buddhists will be praying to some young 5-year-old boy because they see as a direct reincarnation of the Lama who died recently. We know of the Tibetan Lamas being the head, but there are lots of Lamas. Lamas are like bishops, basically.
Yeah.
And sort of head Lama.
But it's the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, he's head Lama, basically.
The top boy.
He's Archbishop, if you like.
Yeah.
So you'll see that happen. But
seems to be a very nice guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. To consider what's happened to him in his country is incredible. He still stays cool and calm and collected. But, yeah, I mean, it does depend. The different branches of Hinduism have different ways of seeing it, but my branch is very much based on the idea of the Atman spirit is eternal. And that's all that's real is the Atman spirit.
There's a question on there. I'm not sure how to read it. From John.
Okay.
Can you see that? What's it actually say? Not mentioning any names.
Yeah.
But I heard a medium say about his past life and who he died. How he died? Sorry.
Well, you see, this comes back to that question. He might have very detailed knowledge of someone's past life. Past life he observed, including all the detail that person died. He's jumping to the conclusion that it's his own because it seems logical, but as I would say that there's no way of knowing whose past life it was. I don't think it would have been his because, as I say, I believe the Atman spirit is the thing that gets moved on, and that can't contain memory. It's a spirit, spark of energy of life. So that would be unlikely, but then there's no way of proving it. There's no way of proving it either way. It's just that I think, to me, my own sort of way of looking at it, that works the best way for me because there are all sorts of questions. Why would some people come back and some not come back? If the population of the earth is increasing, how can there be more past lives? How can everybody have had a past life and there's more of us than there were 1,000 years ago, for example?
I knew somebody that said he had a past life episode sort of thing, session, and within 20 minutes he said he'd gone through 400 people and he was still going.
I have 2 words for that: vivid and imagination.
I think that was 700.
Oh, sorry, 700. It makes it worse.
Again, it's possible he's trawling through lots and lots of other people's memories, fragmentary moments of past life. It's coming through bits and pieces.
Even possible parts of books he's read.
Yes,
that's more likely.
Yeah,
99% of the time it is something that's in film or different.
In their subconscious.
Even just briefly caught the image and it's stuck in their head.
Okay.
Yeah. How about the ones that can actually remember themselves being conceived?
Again, they can remember a conception. Doesn't mean say it's necessarily theirs.
No, I mean, I won't mention any names, but the one I'm talking about, he actually described the hotel room and the place where they stayed and everything, the wallpaper, the lot.
Was it verified?
And he's done this to he's told his mum about it, and she said, "Well, that's impossible because that was where you were conceived."
Okay, but let's think about it. Where's the information come from? Who had the information already in their head?
It would be his parents, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. It goes back to what I said before about psychic. You're picking up that connection. The mind connection with the mother, very powerful.
Yeah.
So that could be where it's coming from.
And it may have been mentioned in the conversation.
Absolutely,
we went to a hotel.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the wallpapers.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't mentioned at all ever, you've got a powerful link, mother and child.
Yeah.
Psychic awareness, psychic connection.
And,
but we're gonna.
And as a medium, he would pick that up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. More so. Tune into it.
Now, I believe we're going to try and do a demonstration.
We'll give it a try.
And Steve is going to be the guinea pig.
I've got guinea pig, so hold on. What's saying?
Yeah, what's it? Oh, Haggis is saying, I was told in a past life regression that I was a Highland clansman, and I'm on my 4th and last round on this plane. I have a pain in my left hand side. Doctors don't know what it is, and that's how I died with a sword in my side. Okay, that's what he said.
Yeah, I actually read last week. I think it was. I read the stuff about something about this where people have actually got the marks on the body from the rooms
from a past life.
From a past life.
Well, again, it comes back to the idea of DNA. It's encoded in the DNA that if the body forms, if that fragmentary, I keep thinking it's there. That fragmentary part is stuck in the DNA coding.
Yeah.
Then that will form the same way as the body does. So, if it's a fragmentary DNA part from a memory, because that's where memories are coming from, that's what I think they're encoded in the DNA. Then the body will also form around that encoding. So. It's certainly possible in that respect. That again, it doesn't necessarily have to be their personal experience, but if they're connected into it as the body's forming, that same mark can appear.
Just as a little quick sidestep here, you mentioned the spark.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of Hindu belief actually transfers into Transformers. Did you know that?
Yeah.
You ever seen Transformers? That's what they're
absolutely.
Their life force, the spark.
Absolutely,
Their memories, they call it the spark.
Yeah, absolutely, So
it shows up in all sorts of different things. I mean, who'd have thought a little piece of Hinduism would turn up in Transformers?
Well, it's one of the fundamental parts of the beliefs is one of the very few things that Hindus of all forms share their belief. Now, how it works can vary, but that's one of the few real core beliefs. So, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right, so are we going to try this then? Now, Steve's going to also have a lapel mic on for this, aren't you, Steve?
I am. I'm going to put it on right now.
Right, so bear with me, because I've just got to stop this recording, because otherwise I'm going to run out of specific time. So just bear with me a minute. Okay, so we're back on recording now. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'll be muting my mic so you don't pick me up. So let's just make sure Steve's mic's working okay.
I'm just getting it
Right, let me know when, and then I can turn it on this end and just see whether we can get
you can hear me.
2 seconds.
Coming down on the side.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
right, try that.
1, 2.
And again.
1, 2.
Can you turn your mic down? Try again.
1, 2.
Right, can everybody hear Steve okay?
Turn that one off.
I am.
1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
Can everyone hear Steve okay?
Can you hear me, Mother? Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah, John. Yeah.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
We're going to try this out. I hope the batteries, because we haven't used this mic for ages. You're going to turn around, aren't you, Steve, so people can see you?
I will too.
Well, I can move up a bit if you want. I can sit like that. I can put the mic on, that bit on there.
You alright then? Why don't you move your table out a bit more? We did. Let me just tell you, we did try thinking about changing the camera over to here, but unfortunately, it's not a wide-angled lens. It's something we've got to look at. So, which we was hoping we'd be able to do, so we could utilise that space. But unfortunately, we had a problem. So I'm going to leave it over to you then. Okay.
Water, I need my water.
Water.
Good. Water.
Also, our John's going to record this
we're going to give it a try,
my later information, and hopefully we will be a success. As I've never been, to my knowledge, hypnotized before.
Okay. You've never been hypnotized, but as you were saying previously, you've been in hypnosis countless times.
Well, I can't just said maybe use it to lose weight. I wish we could.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
One thing I discovered is I am terrible with self-hypnosis.
I don't like my cooking.
I need someone to do it for me. Yeah, cooking's wonderful. No, I can't do that. Okay, close your eyes. Just let yourself get relaxed, comfortable, peaceful. Just focus on your breathing. Ignore everything else that's around you, because you know where you are. You know you're perfectly safe, calm and comfortable. Just let yourself relax. Just allow yourself to be here in this moment. aware of yourself, just breathing, comfortably and naturally. Not too fast or too slow, not too deep or too shallow. Just normally. Aware that as you breathe in, you're breathing in relaxation. And as you breathe out any tension, any tiredness, any discomfort. Just breathe in the relaxation. That's it. And breathe out. Allow yourself to breathe comfortably and naturally. Now, as we normally breathe, breathing in and out, we breathe in with the muscles of our chest. But I wonder if you can, just for a moment, breathe in with the muscles of your stomach. Because when you breathe in using the muscles of your stomach, it actually tells your physical body to relax. That as you breathe in, you're breathing in cool, clean air that'll help you to relax. And you use the stomach muscles. Because when you breathe with the muscles of your chest, you're actually telling your body you're going to do something, you're going to be active. But when you breathe with your stomach, it tells your body and brain that you're going to relax. So everything's perfectly safe, calm and peaceful. Nothing to be concerned about, nothing to worry about. Just able to let yourself relax. Peaceful, at ease. Breathing in the relaxation. And breathing out any anxiety, any tension. So that everything around you just melts away. Allows you to feel relaxed, safe, calm and comfortable. Just drifting deeper, peaceful, serene. And as you continue to relax, just listening to the sound of my voice, letting yourself drift deeper, feeling quite okay, feeling at ease, I'd like you to just picture yourself at one end of a corridor. But as you continue to drift a little deeper, you're gradually noticing that the room around you is beginning to change. The room is changing shape and form. And it's as if you're actually moving without moving. Suddenly aware that everything around you is beginning to change now. Almost as if the building around you is deconstructing. It's coming apart by itself. As if it's being unmade. As if you're travelling back in time, watching the building around you being taken apart. Noticing around you that everything seems to be moving backwards. And that backwards motion is getting faster and faster. The sun seems to be moving backwards in the sky, getting even faster as it does so. Everything around you seems to be moving backwards, like the hands on the clock that are going backwards, taking you back through time, as if time itself is actually rewinding. It's taking you back further and further back, and as it does so, it's getting faster and faster, and the same things around you are changing. It's going day and night so quickly, it's almost as if it's a continual dusk. Buildings around you disappear, fall down and rise up. Older buildings are appearing, and they fall down and rise up, and even older buildings appear around you. People seem to be moving at great speed. Everything's moving so fast, and suddenly stop. And you find yourself somewhere completely different. And I wonder if you can just take a look around you. Maybe even just starting with the ground upon which you are standing. And just describe what you see when you're ready.
It's a stubble. Right. Cut hay. What's left?
Are you standing or sitting?
I'm standing.
Can you see?
On a slight hill.
How old do you feel?
At 20.
Is it a warm summer day or cooler or cloudy?
Not too hot, but clear.
Can you see yourself? What are you wearing?
Can't see.
That's okay. What else do you see around you?
Old house.
As you look, does any of them seem familiar?
Keep looking at one with a tower.
I wonder how you would feel if you were to walk towards that building.
Apprehensive.
Because?
Don't like it.
Can you say more about that? Can you say more about that?
Stomach knots up.
Okay.
Like something not good's gonna happen.
Would you prefer to go somewhere else?
No.
Okay. When you feel ready, I wonder if you could begin to walk towards that building. How do you feel? What happened just then?
It's mixed. Changed.
What do you see?
Streets.
Go on.
No. People. Old cars.
How old do you feel? So you're street in old cars. What happens then?
Just looking down the street.
How do you feel?
Going, it's on the hill. Going up a hill, flattens and goes up again.
Is this place familiar to you?
Interesting view.
Where would you like to go?
Home.
I wonder if you could do that. What do you see?
Backyard. It's posh. But not a posh house.
Okay. How do you feel being there?
I'm fine.
I wonder if you could look down at yourself and say what you see.
Shirt, braces. Blonde hair, flat cap.
Trousers or shorts?
Pardon?
Trousers or shorts?
Can't see.
Can you see your feet?
No. See a belt. Wearing a belt as well as braces. It's weird.
Where would you like to go now?
Don't know. Gone dark.
How do you feel?
Trying to focus. Seems to be like lightning ahead, long way ahead. Everything else dark.
I wonder if you could head towards that for
Not good. Something on fire.
say more about that.
It's not the lightning. It's just like a big drum. Someone's burning something.
How old do you feel?
Thirty, 35.
What's happening?
Burning shoes. Clothes.
Do you know who they belong to?
Star. Lady in black dress. Bringing stuff out.
What else can you see?
Little boy sitting on the wall. Very young. Crying.
How do you feel as you see him?
Nothing really. It's kind of detached.
Is he familiar to you?
Not really.
Can you see what you are wearing?
No. I think Mary's brother.
Go on.
Just feel a connection.
Are you able to say more about that connection?
No real love lost. But still family.
What else are you aware of around you?
Cobbled streets. Drizzle. Oh, a little bit wet.
How do you feel?
A little bit upset.
Because?
I've lost someone.
Can you say who that is?
I think his dad.
Can you recall what happened? What happened then?
He's old. but accidental work.
What can you see around you?
Well, it's dank and murky, dirty. Don't really want to be here.
Okay. I wonder if you could let yourself then just drift back to that safe place. With a big comfortable chair. To that room and space that belong to you. And when you're there, I wonder if you could just say, I'm here. What's in your mind right now?
Seem to be on a bus. Going just past the awesome car.
How do you feel?
Relaxed.
Good.
My stop.
I enjoy that feeling of relaxation and stay with it. Allow that bus to just dissolve away and find yourself in that big comfortable chair. Your space, your safe place. The room and space that belong to you where no one can reach you, no one can harm you. And the walls have returned so that you're sitting in your comfortable chair.
I'm here.
Good, that's good. Just relax. And just continue to breathe comfortably and naturally. You're perhaps breathing through your stomach, breathing in relaxation and breathing out any tension or anxiety. Feeling at peace, feeling relaxed and enjoying the peace and quiet and calm. Just enjoy the feeling. For in a moment I shall begin counting from 1 to 5. And as each number passes, you'll gradually awaken. Awaken feeling relaxed, awaken feeling at ease, awaken feeling good. Starting with 1, allowing those images, those thoughts and feelings just to fade back to where they came from. As you rise up to 2, and gradually just bringing yourself back into this room, back into today. As you rise up to 3 and feeling the energy now returning to your fingers and toes, coming fully back into this room, back into today. Rising up to 4 and coming fully back into this moment, back into the now. And rising up to 5, and when you're ready, just take a nice deep breath. And in your own time, just open your eyes.
I want to stay here as comfortable.
Please come. There we go.
Okay. They wanted you to carry on.
It's a strange
Just
sensation.
because it was in 11:15, I'm getting quite low on time. So.
I know.
It's a bit of a strange sensation, that.
Turn that down. Turn your mic on, love.
Okay.
Turn the other one off. Go on.
You off here?
Yeah.
Okay, let me switch that off. It's a bit of a strange sensation. It's because you're aware.
Yeah.
It's hard to work out whether it's actually happening or whether you're making it up as you go along.
Well, I would say that's because it's a question of the source of the information. You could just as easily be making it up, or it could be it's actually coming from somewhere in the deep psyche, deep unconscious. You don't know the answer, and that's the question. That hasn't got an answer you can definitively give.
Because sometimes it felt as if I had to see something. So because you say, what can you see? A picture of his kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of it is the suggestion of, well, you must clearly see something.
Yeah. I mean, and every time I moved forward, something changed. So it's like when I started, I was standing in, like on a hill, slight hill, with obviously the bin hay there, short stubble, and I can see like a farmhouse with a tower on it. The moment I move towards it, it's a different picture.
You were apprehensive about approaching it. It could be that your subconscious then shifts because it's uncomfortable.
So the Viscount wants to know how you felt emotionally.
On the first one, I was expecting trouble.
Okay.
It's as if, and I don't know whether this is because I know it happened, especially in this part of the world. It's as if I was on strike. A bit like the Luddite rebellion kind of thing. I'm supposed to be working, and then obviously I'm withdrawing labour and that. But thinking about it now, I knew that happened. So is that why I put myself in that position when I saw the picture?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to answer because it's a question of what prior knowledge you already have. But just because you have prior knowledge of the event occurring doesn't mean you couldn't necessarily have then been in the event previously. But remember, we're not, as far as I'm concerned, we're not talking about you anyway. We're talking about memories of those events that you're then tuning into. But it's very easy to see them as being your own memories. But as I say, I find problems with the idea of being your own individual memories.
Yeah, and before we started, I saw a picture.
Okay.
Before we started, I wrote it down and I gave it to Sue.
Right.
Now, I wrote down the horse and cart with hay in it.
Ah.
Yeah. Now, I actually envisaged in the picture of me driving it.
Right.
So that was my job. But I didn't see the horse and cart with hay in it until the end.
Yeah, and you saw it from the bus.
And I was on the bus.
Yeah.
So, but that then begs the question, did I put it there because I saw it beforehand?
Don't know.
You actually put driving a hay cart working on a farm.
The first part sounded like you were definitely on a farm because you were talking about hay, etc. But I don't know. It could be coming from me. I mean, something it's rural sort of folklore is a big interest of mine anyway. So that kind of image would have said, I'd work with me. So.
And for some unknown reason, John thinks she was in Wales the first time.
You thought I was in Wales? Why Wales?
Wales or Wales?
Wales spoil.
Wales, as in
Why?
in the country.
Where they say we're men and men and sheep are scared.
As I said earlier, that was Greece. Ancient Greece.
But I mean, I know if I had to choose a place to go in this country, it'll be Cornwall, because I feel that's my spiritual home.
Okay. Haggis 4, Jim says there was a woman trying to shake hands with you. That's what he felt. But you mentioned a woman, didn't he?
Yeah, I mentioned a woman when the father died, and
that's right.
And the man she was bringing clothes out to be burnt.
Right.
From the brother,
which would usually suggest some kind of disease, some kind of physical ailment that was possibly, or they might be contagious. That often clothes would be burnt after a person passed away because of something like the plague or whatever.
But at the same point, I got that he was old and it was a work accident.
So maybe they were burning the clothes because he was dead.
He was old and not going to fit anybody.
Yeah.
I think we can safely say you're in hypnosis. There's no two ways about that. You sort of slump back down and in classic state.
Now there you have it. Past life regression, hypnosis, it's both the same thing, isn't it?
Well, no.
It's just where they go it.
It is what you do with the hypnotic state. Exactly.
It's where you go.
It's what you do with the hypnotic state.
So basically, if you want, I went somewhere because you told me to go somewhere.
Yes, good to look at it that way around, or you went somewhere because there was somewhere to go.
Well, not really, because when he was doing it, yes, to me, you was doing exactly the same as what you did to me.
Part of it's most of it's very similar. The end bit's different.
But he wasn't actually telling you where to go. He was asking, where were you? Where are you? What
can you see?
What could you see?
Yeah, but that suggests that I have to be somewhere to see it.
Well,
yeah, but it's only you that's
from a mental point, from a mental.
If you think about it, you have to be somewhere.
Yeah, you have to be somewhere.
You've got to be somewhere, haven't you? You said, I'm in this room with you three. You're somewhere, aren't you?
No, not in my imagination.
But no, seriously, if he'd have said, "Oh, you're on a farm, with a load of grass around you," you would have put yourself there. But because he said,
well, he said that with my safe room, didn't he?
No, not that wasn't.
No, I said the safe room.
No, the safe room,
We put a safe room with
but the rest of it,
chair and
that first bit, because the reason for that is, as Viscount knows, you always play something like that into psyche, because if there's anything that's dangerous or frightening or scary, I'll drag you back to your safe place.
Yeah.
So you know you're safe. But I don't describe it to you. If you remember, you probably don't remember what I said to you, is it could be empty, it could be full of things that are familiar, it could be unfamiliar things. So I don't even, the only thing I tell you is there is the chair.
Yeah. But the rest of it,
that's your anchor, as it's
you
called.
see yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Basically, where are you now? Obviously, yes, you're somewhere, but where you are, you could be thinking a beach, you could be thinking of a field.
So it's you that,
millions of places you could have been on a plane,
sea,
in a boat,
So,
could
be any period. You could be in the desert, you could have been in Africa, you could have been in India, you could have been on I don't know, Himalayas or something. You're the one that gives me the information of where you see yourself being.
So, Viking said, correct, Andy. He designed the safe room himself. The only thing there was the comfy chair.
And just as a matter of interest, the room would actually change when I come back.
That's not uncommon at all, actually. Quite often, with more long-term therapeutic work, the room changes because it reflects how you're feeling about yourself.
Right. This safe place goes back to a meditation that Ange did with us, where we went into a house. We hid the key, we knew where it was, and when we went in, and all apart from somewhere to sit, all she suggested was that we turn on the TV and the radio, because obviously that's clairaudient to take us from there. But every time we went in, there was something new in the room.
Yeah.
It became a place you knew, like a comfy sitting room or whatever.
I mean, as I mentioned to begin with, obviously, when you train to be a therapist, you go through analysis yourself. You have to, so you can do the job. And I noticed how my safe place changed gradually. There were more things in it, different things in it. The room got bigger, changed shape. But as I progressed through it, it became more clear, more detailed. Most people, in their first few experiences, all they have is a white room. Maybe one or two things familiar, but usually it's just a white room with a big chair in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think that part for me was different because I'd used that as a meditation.
Yeah,
before.
That's fine. You use one that if it's there already in your psyche, you make use of it. Absolutely.
I think it was the one where she took us through the garden, the different colour flowers.
Yeah.
Into the.
Oh, it's funny enough when we was doing today, when you hypnotised me earlier. Yeah. When you brought me back to my safe room, in that meditation that we'd done, there was a window, and you looked out the window. Yeah. To see what you're seeing, and I was seeing peaks coming up, shooting up, as if I was looking out the window. So that's what I was seeing when I came back today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the Viscount just said that as a clinical hypnotherapist, he really enjoyed watching that session. Excellent. Do him again.
Do him again. When he was saying earlier, don't stop. Take him deeper and deeper. We want all the details. Leave nothing out. LOL. Don't stop being a sport.
We're in less an ideal situation. You normally be a one-to-one.
Yes.
My office chair, which I've still got, cost me £300 bloody quid. It's very large, very big, and comfortable.
Yeah.
So obviously we'd go on for longer, but there is always, I've found previously, a slight danger with it that you slip into so deeply. You're just like, I don't want to talk anymore. I'm enjoying this too much.
Yeah.
And
often, a bit like he did when he came out. I don't want to talk.
Exactly. Yeah. Often it's a struggle with the analysis what we did earlier, that I had to keep that fairly light level, so you still continue to respond to me.
Yes.
If you go to, if you're doing standard hypnotherapy, you take it deeper because they're only listening.
Yes.
You're only listening to what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
It plants it more deeply in the psyche if you're deeper into hypnosis. But that's not what we were doing.
So what do you think, guys?
As a clinical point of view, would you normally tape these things?
No, I don't normally.
So you can actually, because obviously you're doing what you're doing with the patient.
Yeah. If it's a past life they've come for, then they want recording, and I will do. I don't obviously if it's quit smoking because it's boring. But for analysis work, no, because it will you'll sense yourself. If you know you're being recorded, no matter how definitely you want to say everything. If you know there's a machine recording what you're saying, then you will hold things back. And the one thing you don't want in analysis is people holding things back. They have to say everything. I mean, I've had people who've confessed to murder. They've already been in prison for it. They're not telling me something I didn't know. They didn't.
No.
It wasn't a secret, but they've kept it quiet to lots of people for a long time. I've had one guy confess to being a paedophile. You know?
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So and you have that same bond as you do as a doctor and patient. If he tells you of a crime he intends to commit, or she, then I am legally bound to report it to the police. If it's past tense, then I can't do anything about it. It's down to my judgment.
Yeah.
And the guy did go to the police himself eventually. So that's a paedophile. I mean, he fiddled with a niece a few times. He admitted himself.
I don't know what Viscount's put there, whether he's missed a word out, but it said Ellsdale State is...
Ellsdale State is the deepest form of hypnosis, where you literally can't be bothered to do anything other than just lie there and hey man,
get the video up, let's see all.
At the moment, that's still on the disc.
Yeah, so I don't know whether it actually picked up I was hoping it picked up the actual vocal on it, so... Yeah, we could possibly do
put
that.
The two together.
Put the two together.
Yeah,
so.
That's cool.
The Ellsdale State again is very useful for when you are doing real deep-rooted work, where it's purely the listening. In fact, you can say with the Ellsdale State they're not even listening to you anymore. So in terms of clinical work, it's next to useless.
Yeah.
But it's a very, very deep level, and when you take someone deep, there's always a danger they go into that real deep level and think,
So, guys, what do you think to tonight's show? Viscount, do you want to ring up again and give us your opinion, or does anyone want to ring up and give us their opinion?
Yeah, and maybe Jim, tell us about this woman that was trying to shake my hand.
Yeah. If you're on Skype there, Jim, come through or give us a call on 0844 414 3982 and give us a quick ring and tell us what you think, what you thought. It's not a problem if you're not on Skype. And tell us what you thought of tonight's show, and Jim, if you're there, maybe ring up or even ring me mobile if you've got it. But so
I found it strange that I was in a place where my brother was burning my dad's clothes who just died, but I didn't seem to have any emotion. I was detached from it.
Yeah.
Well, there's another possibility.
I mean, from a psychotherapist point of view, I was separated from my father at a young age, so
that can be a reflection of that moment. It can be that if you're saying this is a past life, you just didn't like him very much. It's one thing I work with a lot with people. If they've had problems with parents, you don't owe the parents anything. They chose to have you. You didn't choose to be them, to come from them, so you don't owe them anything. So I've had people divorce their parents in therapy, saying, they're not used to me. They're nothing but pain. They're nothing but hurt. Why not do it in my life?
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, with my father, it wasn't his choice. Mum, they got divorced, and I was 1 year old, so I didn't have that much of an interaction with it.
So you might be of a state of mind that you don't particularly care.
On top of that, I think it was last year we kind of figured out who he was through Facebook, even though there was no reciprocal contact or anything. But we think because post just stopped. We think
maybe he died.
He may have died recently.
So because there didn't seem to be any more posts on there.
Because he would, I suppose he would be in his 70s now.
Yeah. So you never know.
Well, I'll give you another example. The guy that trained me, he had a terrible time with his mum. It was just him and his mum when he was his dad. Actually, he's quite old now. His dad died in the Second World War, and for a good number of years, his mum used to tell him that Dad left to go to the war because of you, and because of you, he's dead.
Yes.
And he grew up believing that, and he got to the point where he realised his mum was just an evil bitch and had nothing. The guy's in his 70s, so he knows his mum's already passed away by now, but he had no idea when she died. Doesn't care. Why bother? If this person's nothing but pain, why bother with them?
This is it. So it's a bit similar to me, really, when I was told one thing about my nan. That it was my fault. I've lived with that for a while.
Trouble is, as a child, we tend to believe these things.
Yes.
Especially when it's a supposed responsible adult telling you.
Absolutely, something you would trust and believe, definitely.
I mean, if it's someone your age saying it, you tell them to do one.
Exactly.
But because it's, like, say, someone you trust.
Again, as an adult, you can do that because you have your own perspective, your own ideas about things.
But
hello. As a child, this is how you learn these things the first time round.
Hiya, Jim. We've got Jim on the phone.
Hi, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
I'm alright, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad. Did you enjoy this evening?
I did. It was really good. Really good.
Okay, so what's this about this woman?
Well, it all started when Steve went when Steve went under.
Yeah.
I was going the same way as him. I was listening to Adam, is it? Is that Adam his name is? Andy.
Andy.
I was listening to Andy. And I was listening to him and going along with Steve, going through. And I got into the room and then started going back in time. And then I picked up horses.
Right.
Because Sue's here, and I said, "Oh, there's horses here." And then he asked him what age he was at one point, and I said 15, and he said 15. And Sue was like, "Oh, bloody hell!" And then I couldn't pick up everything that Steve was saying because it was now it breaks up a bit in the line, and it was breaking up a bit, but I could see somebody crying. I could get that much, but then I could see a woman walk towards him, and she took his hand. She was actually holding his hand at one point. I don't know who this woman was. It was an older woman.
Yeah.
I would still say he would have been in the 15. He'd have been still ages 15.
Yeah.
And the woman would have been about 50 odds. Yeah, around about 50, I would have thought. Dark hair. That's about it. I got a hilltop when then he said hilltop, but I had a feeling that he used to slide down a hill or something. There was something about like sliding down a hill, like a sledge or something along that line. Shoes. I got shoes, and it was like hide shoes on for some reason. You know, hide, leathery, softy shoes with, I don't know what it was laced up with. I couldn't make it all out. But this woman was very, very prominent to me.
Yeah.
She's really prominent to me.
Jim, what made you go through it with him?
I don't know. I just decided I've always wanted to try it, and I thought, well, I'll sit here and just listen with my eyes closed and just see where I go. I was intending to go myself.
Yeah.
And then I just felt that I was linking in.
It's a bit tricky. It could have been a bit tricky doing it that way, though, couldn't it?
Yeah, I know. I did stop at one point because I thought, hold on, I don't know where this is going. So I did pull myself back out again.
Do you know what I mean, Andy? It's like watching it on TV and deciding, do you think it's good or is it all right?
That's all I can speak of, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't
like to so I'm trying to use the solar. I wouldn't like to put an answer to that. I don't know. You know, I think it's for someone individual to decide for themselves.
It is actually a question I was going to ask you. Could anybody that was listening go through the same thing?
Well,
not necessarily what I went through, but to do their own thing.
I would say it's possible because it's not your memories. It's a collective unconscious, deep depth memories that you're pulling through.
From what I remember that happened, Jim's got similar things but in a different order.
Yes.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I feel, yeah.
Yeah, well, Viscount said he's glad he didn't close his eyes now. Who knows what could have happened? We could have had a mass hypnosis session.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And he also says, well done, Jim.
Yeah, he says, well done, Jim. Good effort. So,
well done you guys at that end and keep up the good work.
Thank you. So I'm glad you enjoyed the show and hope you see you again.
Yes, enjoyed it. Yeah. Speak to you later. You take care. God bless.
To the missus.
Yeah,
Bye.
see you soon.
I will do. Bye. Bye.
Yeah, it was something I was actually going to ask you about. Could anybody listen actually be going through the same thing?
Reason why it's not impossible, because if it is a collective unconscious thing, information coming from collective unconscious, then there's no reason why not. You know, there's no reason why two people couldn't produce exactly the same memory.
Because
so lots of it could be Cleopatra. But because they are not Cleopatra, they're Cleopatra memories they're linking into.
Yes.
But when this goes up,
yes.
If somebody sits down and does what you told me to do, so they're going to hear what you're asking, and they're also going to hear me as well. how would that affect what they get?
Because what I was saying to you and when I said it was geared to what I was seeing in your reactions.
Right.
So I was timing as I was speaking based on what you were doing, your reactions. If they aren't see you reacting the way I can see, because he might be filming it, but you can't see it as well as I can.
No.
They're not going to be getting that same precise moment of me saying a certain thing in a certain way, because it's based on what you're doing.
So that would explain the fact that things were out of time with Jim.
Yeah, basically, yes, because he wasn't going through it. Because I would have, depending on who's in front of me, depends on the speed I go, what I say, how I say it, when I say it, is depending on what little reactions. And it's small reactions I'm getting from you, eye movements, etc., breathing changes, will be when I introduce certain ideas into what I'm saying to
I
him.
suppose it was better also, like you said, you couldn't really take him any deeper, because if somebody is listening to this on replay, and you've taken Steve deeper, God knows where they could have gone.
Yeah,
so you have to have that cut-off point, just in case,
Especially when it's, like you said, it's going in.
It's going on to YouTube, because...
And the fact of the matter is, you won't see full hypnosis on TV.
No.
They don't allow it, because there's potentially that danger, not because it's mumbo-jumbo spiritual weirdness, because there's potentially that danger you're going to get hypnotised by it. So it's not actually allowed on full hypnosis on TV.
YouTube, I will warn people.
Yeah, that's put a thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
That when we do it, please don't go with it.
But Steve just put, they would have been fine, no harm would have happened. Not on that particular... But they do need to be warned.
But obviously, if you'd have gone really deep, who knows
where they would have gone if
they could have ended up.
Absolutely. And if they're sitting there on their own without anybody, this is the other potential danger of the self-help discs. You see, there's no one there if things go awry, and you can't be sure what memories you're going to tap into. I mean, I've had more than one occasion to say this. Once I stopped doing past life regressions, people came from past life, ended up coming back for full-blown analysis because they were having difficulties.
This is it. So.
Would that be difficulties because of what they remembered on the past life? That interacts with what's happening now.
They didn't go in the past life. They went into their own memories, their own experiences. What you could do is edit part of it out.
Yes.
Just chop a bit section out of what I'm doing. Start off the regression, go to the last bit in the safe place, and then let it go play on from there.
Play on from there, yeah. So you're not having the...
it's cut out.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I can do that. Sit here and do a bit of editing before it goes on.
Yeah, because obviously we wouldn't want somebody to have a bad experience from it.
Exactly, yeah.
Jim just said, oops, naughty me. And like Steve said, just make sure you put a disclaimer up.
Yeah, but you did have Sue with you.
Yeah.
That
not
is,
me,
that is
you're
different.
Sue.
All right.
Yeah, they Sue.
So he wasn't on his own.
No, so she would have been there with him anyway. So, but anyway, so what else can we do tonight? Not a lot, really. I think that's about it for tonight, isn't it?
It depends. We can talk many things. You know me.
We've been on for over 3 hours.
Well.
And
the rare chance you ever be in the hub, after tonight.
I wasn't going to. I didn't think it'd go on that long, to be honest, and I was going to bring up the witchcraft stuff, but that sounds like stuff for another show.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
So
we've been talking for the afternoon about folklore, magic, and witchcraft, but real sort of not Wicca. Sorry, guys, if you're into Wicca out there. As far as I'm saying, Wicca is a basket.
But
about real witchcraft.
we will keep that for another day, I think.
Yes,
so,
we will. We will get
but like
Andy
I said,
on again.
if you ever want to join us on a show just via the chat room, via the Skype, it's not a problem.
You probably have your say.
It'll be good. We've got Andy 707 live in Essex. You can come on after you've been to the bingo.
The hoop up. Yeah, well, my previous guest experiences have been on by Skype. This is the time.
That was a good show. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah,
but as I say, it doesn't matter if you want to say, for instance, I don't know, we've got somebody coming on next week and you want to be a part of it. It's not a problem.
We can do that. I mean, obviously, I had to be here for the hypnosis one. That's the
precisely,
key. That's why it was worth doing that one today.
Yeah. So, Steve said he's really enjoyed the show and loved watching the experiment session. Ace Paradox, Paul says it's a great show. Jim says it's been a great show, and I'm hoping everybody else listening and also on radio replay have enjoyed the show. As I said, next week we will be having Alison Winrider calling us live from Spain. She's going to do some readings live on the air, and we've got our readings scheduled. So there is that, and we'll be talking to her about herself and everything else, and catching up and seeing how things are and what things are happening. And as I say, so that would be a good one. And then the week after that, we have a bit of a controversial show, don't we, Andy?
Just a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
so
sorry, boss.
we will be talking, if all goes well, if the powers that be that are sorting this out for me, we will be talking the Compass Saga. I'm relying on people to get the people to come on and talk to us. If it doesn't happen, then we do have a fallback, don't we, Andy?
Yep.
We will have a show to talk about. But I'm hoping that, this is what they wanted. I'm willing to do it for them. It will be respectful in a way, but Andy's going to be our mediator live from Essex. And
wearing one of my other many hats.
Yes.
This time as someone who's been involved in the paranormal.
We're also going to have John
years.
Blackburn on the show live on the day as well, because he's been affected in a little way. What I like to call the fallback, I think. Well, not the fallback, the fallout.
Fallout, yes.
Yeah, the fallout of what's gone on. So we'll be talking about that and seeing how things go and what have you. And so I'm hoping it goes on. Number one.
What's to prevent it happening?
Them, basically.
Yeah, if
the people that are arranging the speakers to come on.
Yeah, we've got somebody organising who is actually going to come on and talk
about it.
Because obviously they want people that are going to put the case across.
Yeah.
So
these are the people who've been
affected.
Yeah, the people that have been directly affected by this.
Yeah.
And so obviously, if they can't arrange for the people they want to come on,
then there's no show, really.
To be precise and actually explain it properly.
We may talk about it a bit.
I think that would be ideal to talk about it anyway.
Oh yeah, we will talk about it, but whether it will last the show is another matter. But
well, if you've got me talking, it'll last the show, don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll keep it going.
And obviously John will be here. But we have got a guy coming on later on in the show, talking about the possibility of this British Paranormal Association that he's decided to start.
All I can say to that is, Sue, not again.
Yes.
It never works.
Well,
I've been involved in one myself, and it just didn't work.
The only thing he wants to do, he's not on about monitoring it, or not monitoring it, but policing it or whatever, but having selected groups on there that are legit.
And
if they therefore mess it up, they take them off.
But they've been trying to set this sort of thing since the 1990s. Yeah. It's like herding cats. It really is. It just, unfortunately, I mean, I've come from a profession, and I can tell you the same thing, that they've been trying to do it with us, psychotherapists, for decades, to regulate psychotherapy. The last time they drew up regulations that were going to be agreed upon by psychotherapists, more than half the country's psychotherapists who were genuinely qualified didn't meet the criteria.
Well, this is it.
So the idea was abandoned.
This is another thing we can talk about. Is it really worth doing it? And blah blah blah. And should we have it or not?
And like the Viscount said,
well, this is it.
Who polices it and who polices the police?
Exactly. That's the problem. Because people are going to say, "Well, who the hell are you to decide who can be involved and can't?"
Yeah, But this is the thing. It can open up a can of worms in that respect. Because people then would turn around, like you said, and say, "Well, who are you to say that we're good or not?" So
I mean, if they put it up as recommended teams,
I think that's more
teams they can recommend, because they've been going for a long time. They're not fly by nights. There's been good reports. There's been no bad reports, i.e. like it's happened with Compass. And because you can't say this team's good and that team's bad, because obviously we all work different. We all work our own way.
That's your problem. What's the criteria going to be?
All you can say is that this particular group stroke company can be trusted.
Well, this is it. I think that's what they're on about. We're going to find out more anyway on the
obviously night. In our opinion, because obviously there's going to be other people that are going to say, well, no.
As we were talking about yesterday, we won't go into details. There's an organisation we both know of that used to be fantastic. And it's just fallen to bits, in terms of the negative reports I've heard. I mean, ridiculous.
Well, this is it.
But they've been around a long time.
Yeah.
So, even longevity is not necessarily a proof of being of quality.
No, this is it. So, right, well, basically, I think that we're going to call it a day for tonight, and so we can sit and relax and get this show onto the radio replay. As I said, next week we will have Alison Winrider on the show, and she will be doing 4 readings live on air, and 707 being one of them. And so please remember to have a really nice week, and also that we'll be here next Sunday.
This is where it's at
the same time, 8 p.m. On the KTPF Community Talk Show. And thank you for listening to the KTPF. And all that's left to say really is
keep the paranormal friendly, guys. Keep safe.
Friendly.
And remember,
keep it friendly, right?
remember, we are recommended by Phenomena Magazine, the UK's leading online publication, and sponsored by Craig in Castle, South Wales.
Oh, there, it's nice. That's all I can do for that.
One of the most haunted castles in Wales. For more information on ghostly and ghastly events, including fright nights, all-night investigations, and hen parties, visit mosthauntedcastle.com. Until next time, good night and God bless. Night, guys.
Night, guys.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.